Hey, folks! Welcome to day 5 of
Yes.
the Uvalde School Shooting Officer Trial. Mr. Rodriguez, the defendant, is charged with 29 counts of abandoning and endangering kids. The 19 who were killed and 10 injured children.
I do
And
wonder if we're
yeah,
going to get into any Adrian specific parts this week.
mm, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, they ended with that poor woman, the mother
Yeah.
of the child, who that's forcing her to answer questions in a courtroom about this when the only time she should answer questions is in a nice couch with some sage burning and a nice soothing voice from a
Yeah.
psychologist.
Yeah.
That's it. Not this, and it's only for shock value. Eh,
Yeah. It, it was genuinely one of the most disgusting things I've seen in a courtroom.
yeah.
And I covered the Sarah Boone case, and she wasn't allowed to wear makeup.
Mm.
It was terrifying for all of us.
Yeah. So, but by the end of the first week, I I can safely conclude that the state's case is minimal in physical actual evidence. They just repeat the same things over and over again. There's marks on that wall. There's marks on that wall.
Yeah.
And
My
yeah.
my worry is this week is going to be a lot of the phone calls, a lot of the footage, a lot of
Oh, here we go.
485 and 486, and the
Oh,
last
Josh is having a cold.
We took 485 down immediately, and we're withdrawing the offer of State's Exhibit 485 and 486.
You notified us, Judge.
Okay.
So they'll be withdrawn. Thank you.
Evidence withdrawn. Okay. I assume it's images.
I believe the 400s were in the exhibits. If I remember correctly, those were shell casings that were found in rooms 111 and 112.
Okay. They might have duplicates, and that is why. Yeah.
I was like, oh, are you telling me the state didn't turn over another set of photos?
Oh. Ah.
I want to get your next witness, Cindy.
Okay. We are moving right into the next witness. Folks, let me know sound-wise. Do I sound okay? Does Mo sound okay? Does Court sound okay? Oh,
Good morning.
and by the way, we
You
are,
solemnly
I
swear that
believe,
in the testimony given the cause will be the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir.
sidebar
Stand
counter
seated over
7.
there. Adjust that microphone, make it comfortable for you. Okay, I think we have all of the jurors, so we're gonna go ahead and bring them in.
All rise for the jury.
Okay, please be seated in the courtroom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This witness was sworn outside your presence. He is under oath, so you may proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you tell us your name?
Terry Snyder.
What do you do for a living?
I'm employed with the Texas Rangers with the Texas Department of Public Safety.
long have you been in law enforcement?
Approximately
does-
32 years.
Would you please come?
Why doesn't he have to show his face? What is he undercover? What's going on? Or
Yeah.
he's one of the officers on site who did jack shit, so he really doesn't want to show his face, which
Yeah.
is I wouldn't care if I was
Well,
the
yeah,
judge.
because I was kind of wondering why they swore him in before the jury was there.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
Okay, there was one after I left. Okay, then it's side
Oh,
bar
yeah.
counter 8.
I forgot to remind or tell you that I just was a big ball of angry at the end of Friday. So
Yeah, no, no worries, no worries. Oh, folks, you at any break and anything, if you want pause of this, you go to the Friday live show I had. It's the Slightly Buzzed Friday Law Show, and watch the first 15 minutes of Mo Rage.
yeah,
That's yeah.
I should have taken a 10-minute. I always tell my kids, like, take a 10-minute break. Like, I'll go ground myself until I can change my attitude, which,
Mm.
just lets me stay in my room. My attitude has yet to change.
Yeah. But again, this guy, why is it still, is he an undercover agent? Then it would be
Yeah, and
yeah. There were Texas Rangers wouldn't have been present during the event.
And I still think the strategy for the state would have been to bring the head detective or whoever led the investigation
Mm.
to kind of say at the beginning, again, you could have used him like the Daryl Brooks chief inspector, where he kind of said, we looked at this area, I looked at this area, I had officers do this. And then if you needed to bring in foundational stuff, you'd have that officer come in and say, yeah, I took
Yeah.
these pictures.
Yeah. All right, but let's see what
Run through what your
Terrence
training
Winter.
experience has been in law enforcement.
So my career started at Snyder Police
Okay, so he did show his face. There he is. Okay.
Department, and I was patrol officer there for 4 years. In 1998, I was employed with the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Ignore
Through my career
fire
with DPS, 4 years as a highway patrolman, and then I made a motor vehicle theft service as an investigator for approximately 5-6 years there with the auto theft, and then made Texas Rangers in 2011.
So you started as a patrol officer in Snyder,
That's correct.
and what did those duties include?
The typical patrol, answer calls, motorist assist, family disturbance, DWIs, things like that.
So were you called on to make arrests like all patrol officers?
Yes, sir.
And what was your original training? When did you first go to the police academy?
Back in 1994.
1994.
94.
Mr. Chair, can you turn on your microphone?
Thank you. So in 1994, you went to the police academy, you were with the Snyder Police, and then you transferred over, is that correct?
Well, I applied and I was hired by Texas Department of Public
Don't
Safety in
swallow it.
1998.
What year was
Huh.
that?
Do we have a red flag or
1998.
something?
Jesus.
Holy.
And that's when you worked at what position?
So after graduating the academy, I was assigned back to Scurry County, Snyder, Texas,
And what did you do there?
as a highway patrolman. Typical highway patrol duties: patrol, arrest, crash investigations, things of that nature.
Were you trained or given special training on investigating crashes
Yes,
and crime scenes in general?
that's correct. Yes, sir.
When did that happen?
Basic crime scene stuff during troop school, or even after graduating and coming out, you had to go back for your crash investigation training. And then after making Ranger, of course, we're all sent through a 3-week crime scene school.
So all Rangers have 3 weeks of crime school?
Correct.
On May 24th, 2022, where were you assigned?
I was assigned in Wilson County, Floresville, Texas.
And where is that?
It's about 37 miles south of San Antonio.
And on that day, did you get a call for duty?
Yes, sir, I did.
Would you explain that to us?
As been a part of the crime scene team with the Rangers, we were activated to respond to Uvalde to the Robb Elementary School.
When did you arrive to Robb Elementary School?
It was around 5:30 that afternoon, I believe.
That same day, the first day.
Correct.
And what were your duties at Robb Elementary?
Up on arrival, we met with our crime scene team,
Is this
Team
more
leader,
shell casings?
Brent Barina. And we as a group were briefed on details of what had occurred prior to us arriving, and we were assigned our duties from that point.
What duties were you assigned?
Basically to that day began to assist with identifying and removing bodies from 111 and 112.
Oh,
So that was the first duty of the Rangers, was to identify the people that were victimized in this case.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And was that for the purpose of notifying parents?
That's correct.
And how long did that take?
That was a long process for that evening into the night.
Excuse me?
It was a long process through the evening into the night that night.
And how were you able to make those identifications?
Usually by either clothing or what they were wearing, or by the class roster that was within the classroom.
And after identifying the bodies, what did you do next?
We gathered up and we coordinated a plan for the next day. We were released from our duties that day, and we went back the next day.
So on the 25th, you were assigned a new duty.
That's correct.
And what were your duty assignments given to you on the 25th?
On the 25th, myself and Ranger Veronica Gideon was assigned to identify and mark cartridge casings that were in the hallways of the school.
At Robb Elementary.
That's correct.
So were there a number of teams, crime scene investigation teams, that were assigned separate duties that day?
Yes, sir.
And your team got the hallway?
That's correct.
Was there a team assigned to 111,
Yes.
112,
Yes.
the truck,
Correct.
and the west? Did y'all get assistance from the FBI on the searching of the west side casings?
Yes.
And how were you able to, when you identified the casings, did you mark them?
Yes, we marked them with a blue tent, crime scene tent marker. And on the tent had a black tape or had numeric numbers.
So as y'all used tents, you deliberately used different colors?
We did, or something to this magnitude of a crime scene, yes, to separate the evidence of where it was located.
So if you had a picture of a blue 4, that may be different from a picture of a tent with a yellow 4 or an orange 4.
That's correct.
And so the color that you were assigned to use in the hallway was what color?
We used blue in the hallway.
And tell us what steps you took in processing the hallway.
We basically started at the door and worked our way through the hall, through the path, based on the information that we were given where things took place.
And did your crime scene search, did that include specifically the hallway and nothing inside or outside of the hallway?
That's correct.
Neither room 111 or 112.
Correct.
And then what were the steps in collecting the casings?
So once we marked all the evidence, of course, it was photographed. And then once it was ready to be collected, we would collect those items by the tent numbers in order, and we would place them in a bag and then seal them up.
Thank you. And did you photograph the location of these casings before you picked them up?
Yes, we did.
Join you, Stacy, exhibit 262 through 316. And I'll ask you, Ranger, did you have a chance to review these photographs before coming here today?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell us, just to flip through quickly, are they fair and accurate representations of your work in the hallway at Robb Elementary?
Yes, sir, they are.
State Officers Exhibits 262 through 316. Henry, that's what you think. You'll never approach.
Yeah, more shell casings. Now, this is the technical aspects. I understand it. It's
It's
the
better-
it's the emotional testimony from parents and teachers. That's shock value and shock value alone. But it is allowed. But here's the thing: even if some things are allowed to do, at some point, they have to reflect and ask themselves, do we do more damage than good?
Yeah,
Or
I
can we
wonder.
prove without this?
I wonder if they were watching the jury, and I do wonder how the jury reacted to that last testimony. And again, the state sent them home with this, and I'm
Yeah.
guessing that was strategic
Mm.
to really let them ruminate on it. But I'm glad, because when he said he helped identify the bodies, I was like, I'm out. I'm out, Nick. I'm going to go stop. I'm going to go watch the Paul Cañero case. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of scared. Oh God. Oh no.
Yeah, I was.
Is he going to describe how he identified the kids? Well, sort of. But then they skimmed that over and went to, and the next day collecting shell casings.
And I think even just that oblique reference, now that these jurors have seen those autopsy photos, they don't
Yeah.
need anything. They just need that oblique reference to pop those really
Yeah.
traumatic sites.
Yeah. And I saw earlier in the chat, will if the prosecution will call the other three, those three who actually had him in line of sight, the shooter? I would be surprised if the prosecution calls them. I would imagine the defense will. At least
Yeah.
the one who didn't take the shot. Because he asked, I have him in sight. Can I take the shot? But before the order, already inside.
Yeah. And
That-
there are so many places to lay blame. I will be interested to see in the future what kind of civil cases are going to come forward. And I
Yeah.
would be very, very interested to see what the school district has done to change things or not.
Yeah, or acknowledged something. I mean, I would imagine that But we kind of saw this in the Crumley case. Afterwards, we found out that the school district got leniency from the prosecution if they got a few of them to testify against the Crumleys. But for me, that is insanity. Because in the Crumley case, you had a teacher holding the backpack with the gun.
That case was wild.
Yeah. Held the backpack of the kid and gave it back. Reminder, the kid, the shooter, had already, they were there for a reason. Let's just say that. He was
Yeah.
called in because there was a reason to be afraid that something might happen. And she did not check the backpack. That is... So everybody in the school district, yeah, scot-free. And I guess it's the same here. Nobody who approved of this standard of magnets to keep doors unlocked. And it always goes up to the top. And
Yeah.
I'm just, the board who was there 2022,
Yes, sir.
who were they married to?
As we discuss these exhibits, you may have to point out something specifically in this, man.
Yes, sir.
If I'm standing in front of somebody, issue.
Right.
Ranger Snyder, starting with exhibit 262. Can you tell us the location and what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 262?
Basically, these are the blue tint markers that, as mentioned earlier, with the numbers on them.
Would you speak up, please? Your voice is away from us and I'm having a hard time hearing it.
Those are the two blue tint markers, which I mentioned earlier. And this is the hallway near the boys' restroom.
Is this from the east looking directly west?
Correct.
And before we move in specifically, has there been information or items that were removed before this photograph was taken? By that I mean items of medical relief that was provided.
Correct.
Okay. Could you tell us just in general terms what has been removed before this photograph was taken?
I mean, obviously, you can tell by looking at this picture that the medical intervention and stuff that had previously been done before we had got there and arrived and started marking the evidence.
And did that appear to you to be a triage area?
Correct.
And so all the evidence of triage has been removed, is that correct?
Yes.
And so now exhibit 263, can you tell us what 263 is?
So it's the same view. It's just zoomed in because when we take photographs of our evidence that we are collecting, we give an overshot view at the beginning to give the jury and other people that weren't there a view of what we saw. And then we zoom in just to a medium zoom and then we zoom into a close-up. And this is a close-up shot.
Okay. And as to State's Exhibit 1, did you have any information that a shot was fired in the east hallway?
Yes.
You did have information that in the east hallway. I'm not talking about the north, the south, east to the west.
No, sir. No, sir.
And yet a casing is there.
Correct.
Does the triage area have any indication as to how that casing got there?
I mean, it's obvious that where we located these items that are marked and that we collect by the signs that you see on the floor, these shell casings could have been dragged or moved or kicked or anything during the medical intervention or the chaos that was occurring.
Okay. So these casings are just indications of where you observed them.
Where we observed them and marked them at the time we collected them, yes.
And after a casing is fired and shot, can the casing be moved before you get a chance to do your job?
Correct, yes, sir.
And was there traffic in Romp Elementary that day
Yes, sir.
before you got to do your job the next day?
Yes, sir.
And some of that traffic was the triage that you were talking about.
Correct.
State's Exhibit 264.
This is item number 2. It'll be 2 magazines of .308.
And what does 308 mean?
It's the caliber of the ammunition that's loaded within the magazine.
And is this caliber of ammunition, is that consistent with law enforcement ammunition as opposed to the gunman's ammunition?
Correct.
So there were magazines of cop ammo magazines
Exhibit
on the floor
265.
in the hallway.
Is this now the hallway that moves north to south as opposed to the one that was east to west?
Yes.
And are there markers indicated there?
Yes, sir. There are.
Would you point those out for the jury?
Number 3, number 4, and I believe that's going to be number 5.
Exhibit 266.
It would be item or attempt marker number 3, indicating a fired cartridge case.
Thank you. And 267, does that show the locations of 4 and 5?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 268.
There'll be a close-up view of item number 4, fired cartridge casing.
And does that cartridge casing indicate that there are indentions that are inconsistent with just an ejection port or an ejection action by a rifle?
Yes.
And would you show the jury where those are?
See the indentation right here towards the end, as if it's been stepped on or something of that nature.
Thank you. And you're away from the microphone, but you said it appeared to you as if it had been stepped on or something like that.
That's correct.
State's Exhibit 269.
That'll be attempt marker number 5.
And that's just to keep up to show the jury that we recovered each one of these, even though each one was not necessarily a casing. Is that correct?
That's correct. This item here is a body cam that had fallen off.
Okay. There's by body camera, is that commonly used by law enforcement?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit 270.
That's a close-up view of item number 5 of the body camera.
Exhibit 271.
It's just an overshot view of the hallway.
And does it show kind of a grouping of tents in that exhibit?
That's correct.
And would you show the jury where that grouping is?
This would be a grouping here that we marked and identified. And then, of course, diagonal from that area is another separate area.
And in photographing, do you start from a faraway view, giving us an idea where things are, and then close in on it?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Showing you then Exhibit 272. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
It'd be the one grouping that I pointed out first that was to the left. Items 9, 10, 11, 12.
So among everything that was going on, so there are dropped magazines,
Yes.
there are dropped ammo, kicking around of shell casings, a body cam dropped.
Yeah, that's So I can understand the triage thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming in, they see how grievously these children are wounded, and it becomes chaos because normally you maybe have one or two victims. You now have close to 20,
Yeah.
plus more injured. I could see how everything would be a cluster F.
Yeah.
Where was leadership? Where
Exactly.
was anyone?
Yeah. And I mean, this is what happens when 400 cops stand around and do jack shit.
Well, and that's
They
the other
drop
thing.
stuff.
I think we can all agree that we want every single one of those officers, and especially the one that was touching the hand sanitizer, to go straight to Snake Island and fuck right on off. But I don't see how this officer, who wasn't standing in the hallways, who was breaking open windows and getting kids out, getting teachers out, should be on trial. When compared to the ones that were in the hallway doing nothing.
Yeah.
Why aren't they responsible for those children who are calling 911 and screaming for help?
Yeah. I it is so baffling for me. How can 400 cops go there when there's need of 10 tops? They knew which rooms he were in. Why was everybody standing around, fondling themselves and each other? Somebody at charge, and this is why somebody at yeah, we know the one police chief. His trial is later. I don't know when his trial starts. But there were
It
four
hasn't
law
been put on the
enforcement.
docket yet
Yeah.
that I am aware of.
Yeah, 4 law enforcement on site, and nobody told we only need 10 people, and those should be the ones trained for this. So everybody else, fuck off.
So, yeah, because I mean, if I were someone just tuning into this this trial, I would assume that this officer was the guy getting the hand sanitizer or something, because that's who I would assume we were going after, all the jackasses in the hallway.
Yeah, I don't know why they probably singled this officer out because he was first on site.
And he had an affiliation with the school district,
Yeah.
making him
An
making him
easy target.
under the education that he also has extra liability for the children.
And I would understand in a civil suit, where it's only 50% plus a feather. But this is beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah. And that's my worry, is that if this goes the way of an acquittal, Uvalde is going to burn. And I don't want that. I don't want the families to feel as though this has been a miscarriage of justice because the state didn't prove their case.
Yeah. Gigi says, from what she understands, the cops waited for the SWAT team with Border Patrol. Yeah, you don't have to be 400 people inside the school for that. You don't need to be 400 people waiting. You need a handful covering the doors. You need a handful outside the rooms where they knew he was. That's it.
Yeah, and the fact that they,
There-
again, if the fact that they were allowed to stand there doing nothing productive, to the point where when the tactical team did arrive, they had to ram through patrol cars to get to the area to actually, start
Yeah.
engaging with the. You didn't need everyone standing around. They could have been working perimeter. They could have been doing whatever. This is
Setting
it's-
up roadblocks, anything. Set up a roadblock. Make sure SWAT team is let through. Don't everybody stand and fondle yourselves.
Yeah, make sure, talk to the trauma centers, get a couple deputies to maybe go bring more blood if we're going to need it, talk to the hospitals. Do we need this? What do you guys need? There could have been so much put together. They were all sitting up there. And then for the parents to have to go to the school, then to this place, then to this place, to wait hours and hours to hear about their children. It's just
Yeah.
such a ridiculous thing to try to pin it all on this one gentleman.
Yeah. And the result will probably be that not a single cop in that area and around will ever be first on site at the next school shooting.
At least not in Texas.
Yeah.
Up through 22, it looks like.
And Exhibit 273. Does that show that we're looking at rooms 105 and 106?
Yes, sir.
And are there just a couple of casings there? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what are those identification markers?
Number 6 and number 7.
And where is classroom 106 and 107 in comparison to rooms 111 and 112?
I believe they were directly across, if I'm not mistaken.
Directly across the hall?
Yes.
Thank you. State's Exhibit 274.
Item number 6, and as opposed to a fired shell casing, this is a unfired shell case or cartridge case.
And by looking at Exhibit 6, can you tell if that came from a pistol or a rifle?
From a handgun.
From a handgun
Yes,
as opposed to a rifle?
correct.
Exhibit 275.
Be item number 7.
And 276.
It's a close-up shot of item number 7, fired cartridge case.
And the condition of item 7.
It does have that indention. Here, it looks like there's been some damage done to it.
And that is damage not from the firing of the weapon, but from another source?
Correct, presumed, yes.
Exhibit 277.
Item number 8.
And are we still then across the hall from 211 and 212?
Yes, sir.
278.
It's a close-up photograph of item number 8 being a fired cartridge case.
Exhibit 279.
Again, that's just an overshot, zoomed-out view of the 2 separate groupings that we saw earlier.
And to the left of the photograph, which classrooms are those?
111, 112.
And 280, does that start to show the marker numbers and start to be able to see the casings?
That's correct.
9 through about 22, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you have a yellow tint there. Why do you have a yellow tint as opposed to the blue tints?
If I recall correctly, I'm going to say that was marking probably some kind of print or something, impression left in the blood.
So it was not a casing for sure.
No, sir.
State's Exhibit 281.
It's item number 9, showing a fired cartridge case.
282.
Item number 10, again, a fired cartridge case.
Exhibit 283.
Number 11 will be it's a 21 round magazine with 20 unfired cartridges.
And do you recognize the nature of those cartridges and magazine?
was believed to be law enforcement.
And why do you believe it to be law enforcement?
The type of ammo, I believe that was in it, if I remember correctly.
It's handgun ammo as opposed to rifle ammo, is that correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 284.
That's a fired cartridge case from a handgun.
From a handgun
From a handgun.
as opposed to a rifle.
Correct.
Thank you. And exhibit 285.
Just kind of a zoomed out overshot view between, in front of 111, 112 of the same tent markers that we've been going through.
And on the far left, does it show an additional tent marker?
Item number 14.
Thank you. Exhibit 286.
It's item number 13, fired cartridge case.
And State's Exhibit 287.
It's a close-up view of item 13, a fired cartridge case from a rifle.
State's Exhibit 288.
Item number 14, fired cartridge case.
And Exhibit 289.
It's a closer, a zoomed-in shot of item 14, a fired cartridge case.
Moving next to Exhibit 290.
Again, just a zoomed out overall photograph of that hallway in front of 111, 112, showing our tent markers.
291.
Item number 15, showing 3 fired cartridge casings.
So you may put one marker down for more than one casing.
Correct.
Exhibit 292.
Item number 16, identifying the 3 fired cartridge casings.
Okay. And we see 2 fairly easily. Where's the third?
This will be 1, 2, and the third off right here on the left.
Thank you. Exhibit 293.
Item number 17, fired cartridge casing.
And 294.
Item number 18, again, a fired cartridge casing.
295.
Just an overshot view in front of 111, 112 of the tent markers and of the cartridge casings that we identified.
296.
Item number 19, fired cartridge casing.
297.
Item number 20, it's a fired cartridge casing.
298.
Item number 21, fired cartridge casing.
You know, these all belong to a rifle.
That's correct, yes.
299.
Item number 22, identifying the 2 fired cartridge casings.
Rifle casing.
Correct.
Moving now down the hallway, State's Exhibit 300. Would you describe what we see here?
Be the focusing on basically the tent markers that we set out to identify additional cartridge casings that we had located.
And once again, this is when you located the day after this event. Is that correct?
That's correct.
State's Exhibit 301.
Item number 23, fired rifle cartridge casing.
Exhibit 302.
Again, the same tent marker, number 23, with just a closer up, zoomed in photo of the fired cartridge casing.
Exhibit 303.
Item number 24, a fired cartridge casing from a rifle.
Exhibit 304,
Item number 25, cartridge casing, fired cartridge casing from a rifle.
Exhibit 305,
That's just a zoomed in photo of item number 25 of that fired cartridge casing.
Exhibit 306,
Item number 26, and then of course you can see 27, 28 in the background. And then the medical intervention, signs of intervention there.
and 307.
A zoomed in photo of item number 26, a fired rifle cartridge casing.
Exhibit 308,
Item number 27, two fired rifle cartridge cases.
Exhibit 309,
Item number 28, fired rifle cartridge casing.
and 310,
Showing item 29, 31, 32, and 33.
and are those further toward the south door?
That's correct.
This takes Exhibit 311,
A zoomed in photo of item 29, fired rifle cartridge casing.
Exhibit 312,
Item number 30, a zoomed in photograph of a fired rifle cartridge casing.
and Exhibit 313, does that show the general location of tent marker 32?
Yes, sir.
And Exhibit 314,
Item 31, showing the fired rifle cartridge casing.
Exhibit 315,
Item number 32, again, a fired rifle cartridge casing.
and Exhibit 33.
Item number 33, fired rifle cartridge casing.
And are you able to distinguish casing from one manufacturer from another manufacturer?
Yes.
And in this case, how many different types of rifle cartridge casings did you recover from the hallway?
We recovered an LC 22 5.56, and then there was a 9mm Luger Hornady, a Remington 223, and a Remington 223.
So how many Remington shell casings did you recover?
I believe, if I recall correctly, 2, 3. I'm seeing 3 right offhand here.
Okay, may I approach? That was a lot of casings that we went through.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
When y'all packaged up the casings, did you put them in different packages based on the brand of the casing?
We did.
May I approach that?
Yes, sir.
Showing you states Exhibit 16.
Yes.
Just, what does the LE at the top of, says Exhibit 16 stand for?
We're identifying these as being law enforcement related, belonging to law enforcement.
We would offer Exhibit 16, you know.
All right, it's admitted.
And without going into and opening each one of the casings, do you, as you enter those exhibits into the envelope, do you keep record of what type of casings those are?
Yes, we give it, we write a description of what we collect on the envelope. so we can refer to it later.
And how many cartridge casings, rifle cartridge casings were associated with law enforcement?
6.
And how many pistol cartridge casings were associated with law enforcement?
2.
And were they both fired, or was one fired and one not?
I'm going to believe, I think the one was unfired and then the rest were fired.
And we saw a photograph of one.
That's correct.
Judge, this is saying that the next, we have no objection to this application to state registry.
What's the number?
We just identified, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 17.
17 will be admitted, no objection, go ahead.
Would you tell us what State's Exhibit 17 contains?
This will be the envelope that we secured all the LC 2.20 fired cartridges that we just went through that we collected in the hallway.
And did you also collect cartridge casings or assist in them out at the ditch where the truck was?
I don't believe I did, no.
Very good. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Good morning, Reggie Snyder.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
So, we've not met before, right?
No, sir.
So my name's Gary Hillier. I'm one of the 3 attorneys representing Adrian.
Yes, sir.
And you testified before,
Yes, sir, I have.
probably a lot of times, right?
A few. Yes, sir.
I'll ask you, you understand that I've got some questions to ask you
Sure.
about your role in this investigation.
Yes, sir.
Specifically in your training and experience, right?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I speak too fast. And so if I am talking too fast, you can say, Gary, hold on, talk a little bit slower, and I'll repeat the question.
Sure. Yes, sir.
So I'm not trying to trick you or anything else.
Yes, sir.
So, and I take out your permission to ask you questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool, thank you. So, you've been some sort of 32 years in law enforcement altogether?
Yes, sir.
And I believe that ironically you started in Snyder.
Snyder, Texas. Yes, sir.
It's not named after the family or anything like that.
No connection, sir.
No connection. But so you did 4 years of patrol officer.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So you went through an academy in originally back in '94, right?
Yes, the first academy was the Odessa College Academy. Yes, sir.
You went to like a community college that does multiple agencies training. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I guess that's where you first encountered like police tactics,
Correct.
like use of force,
Correct.
use of firearms for law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And you've been carrying a firearm ever since.
Yes, sir, I have.
And so and throughout the training, obviously, you've probably done, if you look at your training record, you've probably done a lot of training in those years, right?
Yes, sir, I have.
And so you went to the DPS in '98,
That's correct. Yes, sir.
and you were highway patrolman. I think that's the correct title for the law.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then you promoted out, was that correct? It was the correct terminology, you promoted to major ranger?
I promoted out from trooper status to auto theft investigator. And then that's our criminal law enforcement division then. And then after 5 years of being an auto theft investigator, I promoted into the Texas Rangers. Correct.
Right, so it's after that you promoted to the Rangers, okay. And then once you made Rangers, I should say, you go to, as a matter of course, everyone goes to a 3-week crime scene investigation course.
That's correct. Yes.
And that's where, that's what you're here to testify about today, you're working this crime scene.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during all those years, you do you call it in-service? Some police departments call it in-service or continuation training.
Yes, sir, we do.
Because you know, you probably carry a weapon today, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
And you're carrying a sidearm,
That's correct. Yes, sir.
a pistol,
Yes, sir.
right? And you have to qualify to shoot that, is that correct?
We do. Yes, sir.
Several times a year,
Yes, sir.
and you have to go for tactical training.
That's correct.
And in order to keep your stats as a peace officer, right,
Correct.
primarily, and also to keep your stats as a ranger.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, and so, I want to talk to you about your role in these things.
Yes, sir.
So you said you're based out of Wilson County,
I was at the time of this. Yes.
and you're not now, I'm saying.
No, sir. I'm in Atascosa County now.
Not a million miles away, but.
It's a little bit, not much.
Same district attorney, but different county. Right?
That's correct.
So you made your way on May 24, 22 to the scene, I think you said late afternoon, early evening, 5:30 p.m.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And you had a briefing.
Correct.
And was it Lieutenant Barina?
That's correct.
So we've already met, the jury's already met Lieutenant Barina, but Lieutenant Barina, he was there before you, he made the scene before you,
Yes,
and gave you a briefing on the situation.
that's correct.
So at that point, and I think I've seen some of the reports of this incident, I mean, it's discussed in several ways, but you're there to investigate or help to investigate what ended up being an officer-involved shooting.
Typically, but it was called in and given to us as an active shooter. Yes, sir.
That's how it came in, right?
Correct.
That's where I was going. So in actual fact, what you were investigating was a mass murder of children, right?
Correct.
And the attempted murder of 2 police officers,
Correct.
which ended in an officer-involved shooting, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so Ranger Marina gave you a briefing. I think you mentioned something about that this is a huge scene, correct?
Yes.
And I think, Jeff, my approach to this.
Yes, sir.
With the demonstrative, I think you mentioned that Ranger Marina gave you your briefing, and I just want to clarify on this demonstrative here, this map, what your marching orders were, but what your briefing was to try and investigate. So I think that you said that you, right, so you were briefed to start searching at the door, right? I think that's what you said.
Yeah, we started, basically started where it was indicated where everything began. And then, of course, where the action took place. And then the after effects of that.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to confirm the door. You said, because you testified starting at the door. So, you recognise this location here. It's an overview. This is stage 1 of the school.
Yes, sir.
Okay, surrounded by Geraldine and Grove. So this is the school here, right?
Correct.
That's school building there. So we've the way it's been discussed and labelled in trial so far is you've got the west door around here.
That's correct.
I'm indicating on the map now. It's got a red X.
Correct.
Now that's the door you're talking about, right?
From the inside, from the interior only. Our focus on the first day there was basically, as I also mentioned, to identify and remove bodies from 111, 112. Then the following day, marking our evidence in the hallways were basically from the interior down the hall and then back down the hall in front of the classrooms.
Good, and thanks for that. But what I mean is, this is the door on the inside of the building. You say we started at the door. That's where your work started at the door.
That's correct.
Okay. So, and we've identified that throughout the trial as the west door.
Okay.
And so this is the west to east. There's 2 corridors inside that building, right?
Correct.
And we've seen lots of photographs, and we'll visit about some of them in a minute. But there's one. I know it's not perfect north-south orientation, but I think we're talking about one that goes west to east, east to west.
Correct.
And one corridor that goes north-south, south-north, right?
Correct.
Okay, but you started at this west entrance door here.
Correct.
And you know through your briefing, and obviously you know now, that door was unlocked.
It was said to have been, yes, sir.
It was, through your knowledge and your briefing, I mean, you weren't there at the time,
Correct.
obviously, right? But you know now that door had been left unlocked. right?
Through knowledge is unlocked or propped open, ever how you want to refer to it. Yes, sir.
So that's how that monster got into that school building, right?
Correct.
If that door had been locked, that might change things, right?
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So that's where you started on your evidence collection, and you described your process. I want to talk mostly about the collection of the shells, which is your day two work. Right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Because that's the exhibits that have been. So if we can limit ourselves to that, that's what I'm trying to do. Right?
Yes, sir.
So your process is to, and I wrote it down, is you'll walk through and identify things,
Yes, sir. That's correct.
generally speaking, and you'll mark it.
Mark it with a tent marker. Yes, sir.
And, I mean, because you're inside, it's called a tent, right? You put it over it or next to it, so you can photograph it next,
Correct.
and then afterwards you will then retrieve it.
Yes, sir.
And then that's the stuff that we've seen in the evidence today, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So, and again, I think Mr. Turner might have asked you how many rounds that were found, but you know, it's a lot, right? A lot of ammunition, spent ammunition was found in those corridors.
Yes.
And you said that a lot of them are damaged, right? A lot of those shell casings were damaged.
Yes, sir. There was several noted. Yes, sir.
Yeah, which, and like you said, that scene was, I believe you said chaotic.
Yes, sir.
When you went there, it was chaotic, right?
There was a lot of movement going on. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is that there's no indication, there is a general indication of where those rounds were fired because you've seen some groupings on the ground, right?
Yes.
Your testimony was that there were so many people, and you're a male around, there's so many people moving through that rounds were getting kicked and casings were getting kicked and they could have been moved.
Yes, they could have been. Yes.
So you can't testify to the jury where these shots were fired, right?
No, sir. I mean, we can presume by the groupings.
There you go. But you can presume by the groupings.
Correct.
And what I mean by that, I would imagine, is if there's a grouping of spent cartridges in the hallway, which there were, right?
Yes, mainly in front of the doors.
Mainly in front of the doors of classroom 111 and 112, right?
Correct.
And so we'll look at the pictures in a second. But there's a grouping or two, I think there were two groupings. There's shells everywhere, right?
Yes.
Let's start with wider. There were shells everywhere. That's not an indication of where those rounds were fired, right?
Correct.
But there was a grouping outside those two doors.
Yes, sir.
And I think you said a second ago that that's an indication of those rounds were fired outside of those classrooms, right?
Correct.
And were you aware that it's believed that the classroom 111 was left unlocked?
Yes.
But nevertheless, we've got a group of casings that were fired by the killer in that corridor.
Correct.
So in the absence of, so you know now that he didn't fire at anyone in the hallway, he was firing into the classroom, right?
Yes, sir.
So firing into something where you can't see inside, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Because a police officer can't do that, can they? The police officer has to be able to see what they're shooting at.
Correct. You have to identify your target. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you can't see your target, you can't shoot it.
Correct.
But that's not what this person was doing, right? The killer.
Correct.
Was firing indiscriminately into classrooms, through walls.
That's correct.
And the police officer's not allowed to do that. You can't do that.
No, sir.
And again, I think you said that and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said that you believe the classroom door 111 was open, right? Unlocked.
Correct.
Obviously, had it been locked, I guess from your previous answer, that would make the outcome of this incident very different.
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to a specific photograph. I'm going to find it and ask to have it Ranger, just going to get a photograph up and we'll.
Sure.
We'll have to put it on the screen.
Yes, sir.
You bear with me. Judge, may I approach the television on its display?
Yes, sir.
You can't see the top of the picture. No, that's not one. Just may I approach the screen?
Yes.
So, Ranger, I've we've published what's been marked as 272. You recognise that photograph has been entered already, all right?
Yes, sir.
So, if you would, can you orient the jury to where we're looking here in this photograph, please?
This will be classrooms 111, 112. If I remember correctly, the entry door that he's talking about is going to be back this direction.
Do you mean the west entry door? Okay, so what we're looking at in the distance?
Is the groupings of the shell fire cartridge casings of which we identified and that we put the tent markers beside.
Right. Okay. Cool. So, but in the distance here, this is the south. This is another entry exit door, right?
That's correct at the end.
And that's not the one that you were. That's not the one that you were briefed by Ranger Barina to start your search in. That was the west entry door, right?
That's correct. Yes,
So
sir.
What we're looking at here now is, so if the west entry door is over here towards that window somewhere, maybe,
Correct.
right? Okay, and the east-west corridor is probably up here somewhere,
Correct.
right? Now we're looking at the kind of generally north-south,
That's correct. Yes, sir.
north-south to the south entry door,
Correct.
right? So, and this is a corridor.
Correct.
Obviously, I know we can see that, but it's also tactically, because you've done lots of tactical training, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're aware of the concept of a fatal funnel.
Correct.
So a fatal funnel is anything that can be open. There's an open space where there's no cover and it's difficult to tactically move, right?
Correct.
Such as a doorway. So if this doorway here, I'll draw your attention to this door behind me, this could potentially be a fatal funnel if I'm attempting to go through it.
Yes, sir.
So if you've got, I think the correct terminology would be, I mean, obviously it would be, in this case, it would be mass murder or killer behind that door, but a defender, if a defender was behind that door opposed to my entry and I go through that door, that is a fatal funnel,
I would agree.
right? And you need, and it's an extremely dangerous situation for a law enforcement person entering or military entering that fatal funnel.
Sure.
And you'd agree with me that a fatal funnel could be, it can be an open doorway, right?
Sure.
It could be a stairwell,
Yes, sir.
but it could also be a corridor, a hallway,
Yes, sir.
right? So anyone, so let's say hypothetically, someone enters this south door, and because we said there's a grouping, and we can see the grouping here, and I'm sorry to just display this again with the bird, I'm sorry, but we have to do it to demonstrate this point, right? That anyone entering this is entering a fatal funnel.
Yes, sir.
Because we've seen evidence here of rounds that have been fired in this hallway.
Correct.
So anyone who enters through that doorway is entering a potentially life or death situation for them personally.
Correct.
So they would be putting themselves in extreme danger.
Correct.
Yeah. And if they, and going on from that, if someone entered it, and so by extension, if someone enters that, they're putting themselves in danger, that fatal funnel.
Yes, sir.
And if shots were fired in that tunnel or that funnel while they were there, and they remain in that funnel, they're continuing and staying in extreme danger.
Correct.
And thank you, Ranger. I've got no further questions, if possible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to start with this.
I think the defense will argue this death funnel is the same as Mr. Rodriguez was facing.
Yeah, and I also made a note because this is the second time they've brought up the concept of fatal funnel. So
Yeah.
this must be something very important to their defense. They might have a witness that's going to come in and talk about the dangers of a fatal funnel, how you're
Yeah.
supposed to go in. So I do make note when I hear different attorneys mention the same thing, especially if they're on the same team. It seems like
Yeah.
something they want the jurors to notice.
Yeah.
Concept we just spoke about if you can't see what you're shooting at as a police officer, you don't shoot. Is that correct?
Correct. We are trained to identify our target.
Identify your target before you shoot.
Correct.
And so if you hear shooting on a school ground, but you can't see where the shooting's coming from, you don't shoot.
Correct.
So you just stand where you are.
Typically, I mean, through the information gathered, if we know where the shooter is, I mean, we have to identify our target before we shoot, yes.
And how do you identify where your target is?
You have to get to your target. You have to find where the shooting's coming from.
When you hear the shooting as a police officer, you have to find where the shooting's coming from.
Correct.
This is inconsistent with the state's case because they have claimed that Rodriguez had to have known the assailant is over there.
Well, I think it's all
So-
going to come down to, I think the state is relying on the eyewitness testimony of the teachers.
Mm.
And I think that they were hoping that the first teacher would have bolstered the second teacher saying they'd seen the gunman on the south side. But since her
Yeah.
testimony was knocked out, I think they're heavily relying on the single bullet defect in one of the more southern buildings that were behind. And then these kind of casings that could indicate if you were holding the force multiplier a certain way that he was more southern. But
Yeah.
it's hard because the state hasn't given us an overall picture of we found the casings here. Some of the pictures we've been able to see and some we haven't.
Yeah.
And is that something you can just take your time to do, or is it an immediate action?
You make a tactical approach to where the shootings occur.
And is that a direct requirement?
Yes.
Does that apply when you
And
are
in an
with
active
another
shooting
person?
situation, is time of the essence.
Absolutely.
That is, the longer the time in an active shooting, the more victims you can have.
Correct.
And you're saying that knowing that 400 cops waited for over an hour in the hallways.
Yeah, this is, again, it's just such a weird thing to have the case or the state be enraged and talking about, moving swiftly when we have videographic evidence of these douches sitting around.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And this wasn't one of the guys sitting around.
So when an officer hears shooting but can't see shooting, what does the officer do?
Runs to the shooting.
All right. How about those three who had clear line of sight? They saw him walking. They had to have heard shooting. Did they run there? No.
Well, And all the defense has to do to clean this up is pose the question you had. Hypothetically, if you're an officer, covering a civilian and you hear shots, are you supposed to leave that civilian if that civilian is injured? Because I know he saw her fall and that's what made him go over to her.
Yeah.
If she's injured, if she can't run quickly, are you supposed to stay and cover her? Or are you supposed to run toward the gun person? I'm not an LEO. I don't know what kind of test you're supposed to use.
We tactically approach to where the shooting's occurring.
And what does tactically approach mean?
You're finding your concealment, your cover,
Excuse me?
your concealment, your cover. You're moving towards that sound where the shooting's occurring.
You move toward the sound where the shooting's occurring,
Correct.
and that information can come from the sound, correct?
Correct.
Or somebody telling you where the shooting's coming from.
That's correct.
And as you're approaching the shooting, you need not be reckless.
Correct.
You can use cover.
Correct.
That is, you can approach the sound of the shooting and still be protected from harm.
That's correct.
Showing you State's Exhibit 1. You recognize this building, the fourth grade wing that you worked in the hallway?
Yes, sir.
And is this building, was it made with bricks?
Yes, it was.
And are those brick walls protected to law enforcement?
Yes.
Would that be covered?
Yes.
So you could approach the corner and be completely covered or protected
Yes, sir.
if the shots are coming down this west side.
That's correct.
No danger.
Correct.
No danger?
No, because they're both assuming they know where the gun person is.
Yeah.
Adrian Gonzales didn't know where the gun person is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He still had distance to that corner, and he did not know where that person was. He might as well be at the other side of that corner.
Yeah, again, we know in hindsight now that, he could have run there and it would have been fine. But did he know that while covering for civilians? Because at this time, weren't they still trying to get kids into the room? So let me get this straight. The state wants him to run away from the children he should protect look, of all the officers there that day, I'm not seeing where this man's uniquely responsible.
No.
And this south doorway, did you get close enough to see if it was a metal door?
Yes, sir, I did.
Something you couldn't see through?
Correct.
And would that be called concealment?
Yes.
So as a police officer, if you opened the door and stood behind
Nick,
the
can you
door,
pause
it could
it?
be concealment.
All the defense has to do is remind the jury that the suspect shot through closed doors from the hallway. He's not bound by the same rules that police officers are. That's kind of why being a police officer is dangerous, because criminals don't seem to follow like rules of honor like pirates.
Yeah. This is unnerving. There are inconsistencies in the state case that they are talking, depending on what suits them at the time, they use that argument, even though it can and might speak against something they said earlier.
Yeah, it's just the lack of effort. This gentleman, this particular lawyer, constantly confuses basic firearm terms that even I know.
Mhm.
That's correct.
You could be down, you could be standing stoop, you could be standing up.
Yes, sir.
Concealment and cover are assistance to law enforcement
Yes, sir.
when approaching an active shooter.
Yes, sir.
but you go in,
100%. Yes, sir.
but it's dangerous.
Yes, sir.
And you know that?
Yes, sir.
When you became a police officer, did you know you were not be in dangerous situations?
Yes, sir.
When you issued a gun,
Yes, sir.
do you live with it every day?
Every day.
Do you live with the potential of coming home every day?
Every day. Yes, sir.
Sustain.
Can you tell the jury how much training you go through, if you do, to equip you to deal with danger?
Effectively,
Basically, through the in-house training that we do, we go through extensive training. Obviously, our department's made of different divisions, but as an individual, I train myself every day of putting myself in different situations, whether it be while I'm doing old case reports or typing case reports or while I'm driving down the road. I picture something happening and how I would react and what I would do during that time. Because you never know when you're going to drive up on something or when something's going to occur. You could be standing in line at a fast food restaurant or a convenience store getting something and something occur. How are you going to
So he's a
react and what are you
tactical
going to do during that time?
daydreamer? His training is basically tactically daydreaming. I mean, which I guess would be okay. Tactical daydreaming. I give up. I give up, Nick. I can't. It's like he's like, I do Kegels all the time. I'm doing them right now.
This is well, he and 400 others who did jack shit anyway. So what makes Mr. Rodriguez's case special? Because he is supposed to know exactly where he is, but at the same time he can't know where he is because he hears gunshots. He doesn't know where the shooter is. So it's damn if he do, damn if he doesn't. Had he approached that wall and got shot, then what?
Yeah,
If
or
he
if he
approached that
returned
wall-
fire
Yeah,
in a full, toward a full classroom.
yeah. And imagine if he started to run towards that, all of a sudden a gunman shows up and poof, the civilian who was right there. Would he have been shot? Hey, you abandoned her.
I mean, look, we have good and bad cops.
Yeah.
Just like people. But if you want to guarantee that no officer wants to do this job, that we attract only a-holes who have superiority complexes, make sure that if you do a good job but make a terrible decision, you're going to get punished with no support.
And you're not unique as a police officer in doing that, are you?
No,
You
I think we all do it.
Is a police officer ever off duty?
No, sir.
So you're constantly reminded.
I mean,
What's
even when I go out with my family,
What's the difference between he is a ranger? Is there a difference between a school resource officer and a ranger? I would assume it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he went through, and I think that's something the defense needs to go into. He said he started at patrol, then he went to highway patrol, then he went to their homicide, then their auto theft, then to the Texas Rangers. What is the average training that an officer has, about these large scale tactical situations?
and we eat at a restaurant, I put myself in a situation and we have that conversation amongst us as a family. If something happens, for them, for my wife and child, for what I want them to do, just leave me alone, let me take care of business, and they take off.
And so as an officer on the job for 1 year or first day, that's when you begin thinking of those things.
Sure.
And 10 years into it, that would be 10 years of thinking about it
Yes, sir.
and training
Correct.
and preparing.
All right, Mr. Stain, go ahead.
The second thing, Exhibit 272, if you look behind you, that south door, what's the condition at that time?
Appears to be open, or it looks open.
Is that because of the bright light?
Yes, sir.
And then this door,
It's closed.
and the amount of light coming through, is that different at that point?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And the last thing is I just wanted to make sure there's no confusion. You started at the west door because that was what you were briefed to do.
Correct.
Is that what we're looking at there?
Yes.
So the picture is on the east side looking west, even though you started on the west door.
Correct.
I
Yes, sir.
just didn't want there to be confusion. As the witness.
So, Ranger, I've got a couple more questions for you now.
Yes, sir.
So, I just want to clarify, when you went, how long did you spend at this scene?
Total hours, I think I was 3 days there, and then we were relieved, we rotated out.
Yeah, and that's, I'm not asking you to say anything else, but you were at this scene a long time, right? And right,
Correct.
and while you were there, you were never investigating Adrian Gonzales, were you?
Never saw him.
Never saw it, but he was never a focus in your investigation at the time.
Our focus was just the mass shooting, the officer-involved shooting, collecting the appropriate, the evidence located. Yes, sir.
All right, and so the prosecutor asked you a question, that if you, because obviously you can't, it goes without saying that a police officer has to be able to see the target that they're going to shoot at if they are going to shoot, right?
Yes, we were responsible for that bullet to engage our target. Yes.
Of course you are, because otherwise you end up possibly as a defendant in a shooting someone unlawfully, right?
Correct.
Because you can't return fire to the sound of gunshots,
Correct.
presuming you know where the gunshots are coming from.
Correct.
Right, because you've trained with a long weapon, I'm sure, like a rifled style weapon, I think you point your blade, right?
Correct.
And you know through your training experience that if you fire that inside in a range, it will sound different than if you're firing it outside.
Of course. Yes, sir.
Because the speed of the bullet coming out of the barrel, the muzzle velocity of that weapon is so fast, like it's so fast, especially the weapon in this case, it's faster than the speed of sound, right?
Correct.
You don't need to be an expert to testify that it is. So it's loud and it echoes.
Yes, sir.
And if that sound will bounce off the buildings,
Yes. I mean, it travels. Yes.
it will travel and it will bounce. So you don't know where it's, sometimes you fire a weapon outside, it can be difficult to identify where that's coming from.
In this situation, not only we're identifying the sound, we're also gathering the information of our complainant, our victims, or our reporting parties of where that sound's coming from as well.
Exactly. And if those two are not consistent, you hear, and what someone is telling you doesn't match with what you're hearing, that creates even further problems for an officer to identify where this sound might be coming from, right?
It could, but I also want to listen to the information provided to me to follow that information and where it's coming from or where that person's hearing it from or seeing it from.
And let's talk about that. So hypothetically, and this is not, it's not a trick, right? Let's talk
Sure.
about that scenario. So, for example, hypothetically, if I was saying to you, Ranger, I've seen someone shooting over here, right? And at the same time, you're hearing something like the report of a long-barreled weapon. The report of a long-barreled weapon or a rifle is the sound of it going bang, basically, right?
Sure.
And you are hearing something that is not consistent with what I'm saying, that could cause some confusion in you to know where those shots are being fired from, right?
Possibly.
Possibly. So you're not just going to fire blindly to your weapon to the sound of gunshots.
No, I'm going to take the information given to me, analyze it, look, process it, and if I identify the target, then engage.
But if you can't identify, if all you've got to identify the target, if there is a target, is the sound, you can't just fire towards the sound, right?
Correct.
No, you can't. And so, so I'm talking about the prosecutor's first thing as he described it. So you can't just do that. So, and obviously and you said that the prosecutor asked you, if you're dealing with an incident like this, do you take your time or you immediately react? Remember that?
I'm sorry.
If, in an incident like this, because we know this was an active shooter, right?
Correct.
Mr. Turner asked you if an officer should just take their time leisurely or should they immediately react? Right? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And of course, you said time is of the essence. You must immediately react. Right?
Correct.
But but you'd agree with me that if hypothetically I were to say to you, because you're outside here and you're not a police officer, right? And I'd say, I've just seen a man shooting his weapon running at that school, right? And you saw someone running at that school and you chased them down, that would be taking immediate action, right?
Correct.
So if someone did that, they would be taking immediate action.
Correct.
Right, okay. And then we spoke about some tactical movement, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, the prosecutor spoke about tactical movement. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Because you went to the scene, well, you spent 3 days there, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, no. And what incidents were you at?
3.
So this first one's number 3?
Yes.
Gentlemen, that group?
Yes,
So
please.
I'm going to show you, Ranger, what's been marked. So just marked as offence 3, 4, and 5. You recognise this, right?
They're all outside photographs of evidentiary items.
Yeah, they're a very accurate depiction of the scene as you saw it on those days.
Correct.
Judge, defence offers, and we'll show it to opposing counsel first, what's been marked as defence 3, 4, and 5 and 2. No objection, Your Honour.
They're admitted.
So give 1 second so we can display them on the screen. May we publish them?
Yes.
Thank you. We're just trying to sort out. While my colleague does that, Ranger, I'll approach you with another.
Yes, sir.
Exhibit.
Yes, sir.
So we just mark these while we're trying to get them so we can publish them on the screen. Right? So those were the pictures. 3, 4, and 5 are pictures of the scene. I'm going to show you what's been marked as 6. Do you recognise that?
Corner of the school building, and then of course the outside, the exterior of the school.
Yeah, and and so you recognise it, and you've identified where it is, Judge. And we show it to the state, but defence also offers defence 6 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be admitted. Any chance of getting them up on the screen?
I'm trying, but I'm sorry. What we do that, may I approach right now? We'll start, we do it the old way. So just for the jury, I am publishing what's been taken. So there's a series of photographs. Oh, they're up on the screen. Right, okay. So, Ranger, if I may put that there, if we just do it on the diagram first. May I follow?
Yes, sir.
So I guess you'd agree with me that what we're looking at here are photographs of the southwest corner of the building here.
That's correct. That looks like it's depicting this area right,
Yeah,
right in there.
the southwest corner of the building here, right.
Surfing Bird asks here, who is the pretty woman?
Oh, I was like, has my dyslexia kicked in? Because I was just over here thinking of Tactical Daydreamer and making merch. But with my dyslexia, I have to make sure I don't say Tentacle Daydreamer or Testicle Daydreamer because both are very possible.
Well, you could do variations in some, depending on your audience. Some of those will do good. Anyway.
I'm going to have to start an anime channel.
Oh, God.
So I do like that the defense is pointing out. So the state has been saying he could use the building for cover. You're basically blocked from using the building from cover because of these.
Yeah.
And they were saying these were industrial. Those look like. I have a bigger house. It looks like my bigger house air conditioner, not
Yeah.
like the industrial ones.
Exactly. Those really aren't any cover because there's a fucking fence around them.
Yeah.
And is he supposed to run to that corner? Yeah, then he have to run all the way out here in the open when the shooter might be here.
And I do believe that the defense is going to bring in that the radio was so incredibly clogged with everyone trying to hear stuff that the people that were trying to call out where he was kept getting blocked.
Yeah. Yeah, for those units aren't cover, and even if he he's behind them, yeah. Good luck firing from that angle, unless, as the witness the other day who said, well, you can, if you hold the gun in that angle, you can lob it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the from the hip. I've seen a lot of people. I was like,
I mean, when I was a kid, we used to play cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. And sometimes you had, that obnoxious asshole neighbor kid?
yeah.
I curled it around the corner. What?
Yeah. I have a grenade launcher. No, you don't. This is cowboys and Indians. No,
Yeah.
you don't.
Laser!
I'm from the future.
Yeah, and as Gigi says, the aluminum and copper in that unit, yeah, a bullet will go through it.
Yeah. I do think they're making good points. I think the jury is pointing things out. It's really pissing me off because I used to love Walker, Texas Ranger with freaking, oh gosh, I forget his name. Now I don't like the Texas Rangers because we've got no eyebrow having guy over here like, I tactically train my brain. I'm like, congratulations, you do Sudoku. Most of us just play Candy Crush and call it a thing, okay? He's like, I do crossword puzzles and think about situations in the grocery line.
I'm just going to show this.
That's what. Oh my god. Yes.
It seems like this is the tactic that the prosecution says he should have done.
Yeah. Makes about as much sense.
This is from The Naked Gun, by the way, with Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, yeah. Let's just continue.
So that's what we're looking at generally. So we're looking, and obviously the jury's seen these photographs last week with other rangers who took the photographs, because you can take these photographs, right?
I did not.
But the prosecutor wants to talk to you about tactical movement. So I want to talk to you about some tactical movement. Jason, if you could publish 4, please. What I'll do is, in the meantime, I will spray them to the jury. So like we've seen so far, there are photographs. There we go. There are photographs, and the method of your taking photographs and evidence collection is to take a further out, zoomed out view, right?
Correct.
And then you go closer again
Correct.
with more detail, and then further again to show more detail again,
Correct.
to illustrate things. So this is a diagram or photograph that's further away.
It's a zoomed out photo, yes, sir.
And we're generally looking at the southwest corner of the building.
That's correct, yes, sir.
And you can see in the distance there, you can see a vehicle with the word police written on it,
Correct.
and another white vehicle parked behind it, quite a distance away, right?
Correct.
So we talked about, I think, and again, I wouldn't use the correct words, you say, tactically moving towards the south. So we already discussed the problems with hearing a shot fired outside from a high-powered weapon, right?
Correct.
It can echo.
Yes, sir.
Right. So now I want to talk about how one or an officer that should approach that sort of sound, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you said you should approach it tactically,
Sure.
right? Because you wouldn't just run blindly towards it, right?
No, sir.
Because that would cause more problems than solutions it would solve, right?
Correct.
Because a dead cop can't help anyone, right?
Correct.
All right. But so we're talking about moving tactically. So I think the prosecutor's suggestion is, so someone who was over here, let's say a police officer who got out of this vehicle here, who's on the south side of the building,
Yes, sir.
right? So what we spoke about is, you're familiar with slicing the pie
Yes, sir.
or quartering a corner.
Yes, sir.
Like quartering would be more of a military phrase, right?
Yes, sir.
Slicing the pie or cutting the pie would be a civilian law enforcement term.
Correct.
Right, and then also the correct way, so let's pretend someone was over here where I am. Right, somewhere in this west parking lot. Over here is the west parking lot, right?
Correct.
So if someone were to hear the report of gunfire over here, the correct way to approach it would be to take cover along this wall here, right?
Potentially one way.
One way.
You just can't see what else is out here in this vacant lot as far as any other potential concealment or cover to make a wider approach.
And that's a good point. We're talking about a wider approach. But for argument's sake, because you were there, right? At this scene.
I was at the scene, but I didn't have much part in this. Yes, sir.
I'm
But I was there. Yes, sir.
not trying to get you.
No, I understand.
You remember this is mostly an open field, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
And we see a little thin tree there.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You know, that is a tree,
Yes, sir.
right? But it's not a substantial tree.
Correct.
That would be
But
possibly concealment,
potentially, yes, sir.
potentially concealment, right, against a long barrel weapon, because we know what weapon we're talking about now.
Yes, sir.
High velocity,
Correct.
high power,
Correct.
could penetrate that tree easily, right?
Correct.
So that tree is not cover
Correct.
for a human body hiding behind it.
Correct.
From fire from the weapon we're going to see in this trial.
Correct.
Right. So there's no cover out here. Go with me on that. There's not.
Okay.
I represent you. There's not. You were there. You tell me, Gary, there wasn't any. There was cover there if there was, right? There's
Correct.
not. Right. So the only cover you got is this building,
Okay.
right? So can you see, and can we go, can you see what I'm indicating on the screen here?
It's a fenced in area or protected area with their air conditioners.
So that's right. It's again, just guesstimate for me. How high do you think that fence is? Because you were there, do you remember?
5 foot, 6 foot.
About right? And again,
4 foot.
from 4
4
to
to
6
6.
feet, 4 to 6 feet chain link fence.
Correct.
So in order to get to the corner of this building, so if someone were to, let's pretend for a second that this is the corner of the building, if I may move around the building. So let's pretend for a second this is the corner of the building, right, that building there. Right, and I want to go to the corner of this building to take cover so that I can have a look around the other side into the west parking lot or slice the pie, right? Slicing the pie would be to come to the corner of this building. It's not an accurate, well, it's an accurate representation of it. A person would come up on the corner, right? And they're just sliced in the pie. It's like cutting slices off of a pie, right?
Correct.
That's why it's called slicing the pie.
Correct.
Like you take a little bit off the pie, a little bit more, a little bit more. So eventually you're clearing a little bit at a time. So you're coming here, and you can see what's going on ahead of you. And you'll be slicing the pie very slowly.
Correct.
Careful your muzzle. I'm not going to point at you guys. And as you're going further, you're cutting a slice off the pie. To go further and further and further, keep cutting the pie till eventually you could see down the other end of it. Right?
Correct.
That's what slicing the pie is. Military calls it quartering the corner
Yes, sir.
because you're taking it off in quarters. But here, if we apply that to this wall, we've got a 4 to 6 foot fenced in chain link fence in the way. Right?
I mean, there is a fence there, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, right?
Yes.
Up here.
You just have to change your dynamics a little bit.
You do, yes, right. Well, we'll talk about that. But in order to get to the corner of this building, Jason, can you display the further one? I think it's 7. In order to get to the corner of that building, which that building's cover, right?
Correct.
To get to the corner of that building, you would have to climb into, because we talk about fatal funnels, right?
Correct.
That would be almost like, that would be a fatal funnel. If someone were to climb into this fenced off building, fenced off area with these AC units, to climb into that is a fatal funnel. Because there's no
Why
place
would
to
anyone
retreat
climb
or
the
advance if
fence?
you're caught in there, right?
Correct. We're focusing on the corner here. I understand the corner, but I'm also going to mention that there was also a vehicle in the parking lot which could have been used for some kind of concealment or cover as well.
I got it. We'll get to that.
That vehicle is further away than the corner of the building. For fuck's sake.
Who the hell is climbing the fence to get into the AC unit area under fire?
But I think what the defense attorney here is going for, well, if it tries to climb the fence, which he
Okay.
can't because that would be a death trap, so he
All
has
right.
to take the long way to the
Okay.
corner,
That makes sense.
which
I was
puts
just
him
like,
in extreme danger.
yeah, I do think the defense is making a better point, and I think that the thing that bothers me, every single Texas Ranger has been very clear, very, very clear that they had really no idea what the situation was. They didn't know any involvement of anyone. They only know their little bit. Why did this witness make sure to include every time he was asked by the state, I would listen to the information I was given from the witness? How
Yeah.
did he know that this officer saw a witness?
Yeah.
He's every single Texas Ranger, when pressed by the defense up until this point, has never said that they know anything about the general facts in this case or the mass shooting case.
Yeah. Because he just had this long speech about this is what I would do. My imagination. Okay, use your imagination. You know, behind that corner, somewhere, there are gunshots. You have the chain link fence standing in the way between you and that corner. You have a civilian with you over there. There's gunfire. And even if she screams, he's over there somewhere. And there's cars another 20 feet to the left, which you have to cover open ground to get to. Imagine that scenario.
With
Would-
the hindsight that you know exactly where the
Yeah.
pew pew guy is.
Yeah, it's all hindsight here. What would you do if you had the information Mr. Gonzales didn't have? And now, if you are here wondering, why are they defending the asshole cop? We're not. Well, sort of. He's a coward. He's an asshole. He had bad information. What we are doing here is holding the prosecution accountable for the facts they are presenting. And so far, it's stupid.
Yeah, they have failed to make a point that he's uniquely responsible.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are just joining in, you might be thinking, "Oh, this must be one of the a-holes that were hanging out in the hallway." No, this officer was the first on scene, and then he went to help children evacuate the school, and not like in the safe area. No, directly adjacent to where the shots were being fired. They were breaking windows and getting kids out.
Yeah.
So yeah, he might not have run in there as fast as he could have, but it's not like he was standing there putting hand sanitizer on.
Yeah. Or dropping magazines on the floor because you were busy fondling your neighboring cop. You didn't.
Body cams.
How do you drop body cam in that hallway? Was it? I wonder what that. Whoop. Or were they undressing while going into the bathroom? Yeah. I'm going to speed this up because we are starting to get a bit behind here.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Right? I'm still coming down this building.
Okay.
Because we've got
So
we've got to
1.25
You've got to
speed.
negotiate this building first before we can expose ourselves to the open to vehicle. I agree with you on that, but we're not there yet, so we're going to rewind.
Sure.
I'm going to ask my question again. My question is again, if to get to the corner of this building, Mr. Turner's talking about cover, moving tactically in cover. To get to the corner of the building, you'd agree with me that you've got to climb into this caged off area, which looks taller there, 4 to 6 feet tall. Right.
To place yourself up against the building, yes. To still use the theory of slicing the pie, just widen it out and use the fence as your depth of widening and slicing your pie.
We'll talk about that, but I get it. You're right. If you're going to just avail yourself of the cover, the hard cover, you've got to go into that cage, right? You agree with that? Not going out wider. We'll talk about that next. To go to that corner, you've got to go into that cage.
I wouldn't say you had to go into the cage looking at how that pipe is inset from the corner of that building there.
I think it's 7. 7. The last one, Dave. Sorry, Ranger, it's marked as 26. I'm going to put it up on the screen so we can talk about it.
Yes, sir.
So we spoke about the drain pipe, right? So you agree with me that this is a different angle. So now this is looking at the building. This is south, looking up to the west, right? Is that one? 6, sorry.
And these are the same corner?
Different angle.
Uh-oh. So you really couldn't go around to get that hard cover.
I just find it to be different. but Okay.
Yeah, it's taken later, but it's the same corner, right? Remember we looked at it earlier?
Okay.
It's been offered, it's entered into evidence.
Yes, sir.
So you agree with what we're looking at here is it's taken later because you can see the grass has changed, but this is that very same corner west. This is the west side of the building, and this is the south side of the building,
Yes, sir.
right? And this is that fence.
Okay.
And you agree with that fence is because you said, oh, there's the pipe. That fence is. I'm not even going to ask you to estimate how far away that is from the corner of the building.
Okay. Yes, sir.
But you can't. You to get to this slither of brick here, you would have to expose yourself greatly to run back inside to get cover, right?
I wouldn't put myself inside the fence area, but yes, sir.
Why wouldn't you put yourself inside the fenced area?
Because then I limit myself.
Because you limit yourself. And you limit yourself because if someone were to come around that corner armed with a weapon, bent on your destruction, you would have nowhere to go, right?
Correct.
You would be in a fatal cage, let alone a fatal funnel.
Correct.
You would be very vulnerable.
Correct.
And in this case, probably dead, right?
Could be.
Could be.
Wounded, injured.
Yeah,
Yes.
and of course, you do a very dangerous job, right? Sometimes.
I mean, our job is dangerous. Correct. Any job today is dangerous.
Yeah, probably not. But specifically, being law enforcement is a dangerous job.
Why are
Sure.
you so combative?
If you're acting as a police officer, you can't help anyone if you're dead.
That's correct.
Right. And so that's why we use, prosecutor talks about tactical movement. Officers are trained to move tactically, right?
Correct.
And it's not just so that they can help someone else, right? That's the eventual goal, is to be able to go and help resolve the situation. But it's also to try and keep them alive long enough so that they can resolve the situation.
That's correct.
So let's go back, if we can go back, Jason, to the last one, please. So we confirm this is the corner,
Correct.
because, and I appreciate your candor, Ranger. You wouldn't have put yourself in that cage.
No, sir.
No, because I want to talk about how then somebody should negotiate that corner. Because I agree with you. So here we are. So what we were looking at there is this corner, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, and the fence, but that was sometimes later.
Yes, sir.
And we know because there's a wider out photograph and there's a black SUV. There's been a lot of talk about the black SUV that's in the parking lot, right? That would be potential cover at some point, right?
Correct.
But the problem with that is that you have to negotiate an open space to get to it.
That's correct.
No cover, right?
Correct.
And in order to, the whole point of this is the prosecutor asked you about moving tactically. We mentioned that. So to move tactically to this corner here, to be able to, let's place myself on this corner, so I can, if this is the corner here, and I'm sorry to give you my back, if this is the corner of that building, in order to be able to slice the pie or quarter it, to look what's going on over there, I can't come to the edge of the building, can I?
No, obviously I have to work with the obstacle that's there.
So, and that's what, in this case, right? So in a purely theoretical or training scenario, wouldn't it be nice just to be able to go down that building?
Sure it would. You always have to prepare yourself to be able to work around obstacles that you come up against.
So in this case, anyone who is trying to get cover from this building would have to negotiate this fenced off area that you said you wouldn't enter.
That's correct.
So in order to come to the edge of that building, an officer would have to, let's say that the edge of that building is a TV. How wide do you think this caged off area is?
12 feet, maybe
12 feet.
15.
We'll go with it, 12, 15 feet. The officer would have to come 12, 15 feet, let's say, off of that building, right? And you'd agree that would be out of cover based on the angles. You're widening up that angle of exposure to an area you can't see.
I would take that as wide as I need to be safe for myself to identify my target, of which has been pointed out or has been said is over there.
So let's use my hypothetical earlier. This is the corner of that building, right? We've got this huge obstruction that's 10, 15 feet wide, right? And it's a big cage that you went into, right?
Correct.
Ideally, you would want to be behind cover, right? Because cover isn't hiding, it's safety, right?
Correct.
Fire, because there's a rifle being fired somewhere that we don't know where. In order to find it, you'd have to go and look,
Correct.
right? If you could identify where it's from. But you can't, in my hypothetical here, just come to the corner of the building and have a look, because we've got that cage, which is a fatal funnel on the corner there.
Not only you have the cage, and you got other obstacles in the parking lot, as we've seen in the previous photos as well.
I agree. So in order
But
to,
you have a whole open area outside of that to be able to work with, to be able to still use that building and conceal yourself.
with no cover in that parking lot, I got it. But in order to go to that corner, an officer would have to come 10 to 15 meters out, 10 to 15 yards out, which is about 15 yards, I reckon?
10 or 15 or further.
Or further. So to go, if that's my corner there that I've got to try and negotiate now and quarter or slice the pie, you see I'm further away from that building.
Absolutely.
So I'm already, to try and come to the edge of that building there, I'm hugely exposed from my left-hand side, right?
You can still use that building at your advantage even further out.
But the angles are so much wider, right? Ideally,
Absolutely.
the prosecutor's question was framed that go to the corner of this building here and then start slicing the pie or looking. That is not a possibility on the south side of that building, right?
You're not going up next to the building, but to use what is available to you, yes.
I got it. But that, come into this corner, I'll ask you again. Come into this corner, tight to this building.
I'm not a cop. I haven't gone to cop school. But in order to have that extended angle where you all of a sudden are out in the open, yeah, you could slice the pie a bit. But I'm quite sure the only times I've seen that is when there's two cops.
Yeah, where one could cover the other.
Yeah. One back in, tells the other one, I can see it, the subject is over there. Just boom, back in. Not one just going out and, oh, there he is. Damn it, I have a hole in my chest.
Yeah, and the defense already got him to admit that he wouldn't go in there even during tactical daydreams.
Yeah. He's talking about pure theoretical scenario, not an active scenario. If you heard gunshots over there in a theoretical scenario, would you take that wide angle by yourself with a civilian behind you?
Yeah, because you've got to be thinking as a cop, if I die, those civilians are next. I have to stay alive. I'm the only person that can return fire.
Mm.
You know, and that could be a pure altruistic thought that he's having, not, I want to stay safe and go home to my wife. He could be thinking, if I die, all these people are next.
Yeah.
Cover, not concealment. Cover, hard cover, is not possible.
Overall, you can answer if you understand the question.
I mean, obviously you can't go up to the corner of the building because of the obstacle.
Thank you.
That's where you have to use the remaining room that you have,
You have to use a
the
remaining.
opening field.
Got it. And basically, so that's right. So basically, to do that, you'd be in an open field.
Putting yourself in a position in which you could possibly potentially still identify a target.
Maybe, but in order to do that, you're still hugely exposed in order to do that on this side of the building.
Exposed to a degree.
Exposed.
Exposed to a degree. I mean, yes.
And then,
Oh, he's angry. Do you see what he does with his lips? He really wants to
getting
say
red.
something, but he's good at holding back. I give him that. Because he really wants to say something, and I don't know what. Probably something stupid that would make the defense go, oh, really? Let's try that.
My guess is he's probably going to say, regardless of having cover or not, you run toward the bullet. He's going to try to say something emotional and stupid,
Yeah.
would be my guess.
And here's the thing. He wasn't there.
No.
He can't say, okay, there's echo of gunshots. He doesn't know from what angle or anything. Just that where I can't see, somebody is shooting.
Well, and let's change the scenario. Say that this turned out to be just a bailout and someone had firecrackers.
Yeah.
But he reacts as though there is a gun person. He runs in, he barges into school, pointing force multiplier in every classroom, shouting at the children.
Oh, he would be so fired.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a school resource officer. He's not SWAT. I wish the defense attorney also asked, and if he goes up to that corner, he's leaving a civilian behind him, right? Have you calculated that risk of a gunfire with an unprotected civilian behind you?
And I think I would ask, did you talk to the state about this?
Yeah.
And say, well, you made a very big point to indicate that you would listen to whatever a witness told you, but every other ranger has not had information of what happened during this case. So did you have a more thorough briefing than we've been told about?
Yeah. And if you exclude everything but the things that the civilian said and what was displayed through the radio, do you have any other information that you base your...
I do think Adrian is going to have to testify about what
Yeah.
he knew. This is going to be very needed.
Yeah.
And so I think that we discussed that, that part. And then I think the last thing I wanted to talk about is that the prosecutor said, would you go in? And you said absolutely.
Sure,
No, we're assuming there that the person is in the building, right?
correct.
And you're aware that Adrian went in?
No, I'm not aware.
You're not aware? Are you aware that Adrian did enter that fatal funnel?
I'm not aware of that.
Were you aware that Adrian was in that funnel when there were shots fired from a hidden location into the corridor that shot one of his colleagues in the head?
I was not aware
You
of
were
that.
aware of that? Were you aware that after one of his colleagues, Adrian's colleagues, had been shot in the head from a person that was out of sight, so they couldn't be seen because you can't shoot what you can't see, right?
Correct.
After his colleague had been shot in the head, he remained in that fatal funnel.
I was not aware of
You
that.
weren't aware of that?
No, sir.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Possibly, sir.
Just as to that last part, the fatal funnel in the hallway, I believe the way that they described it was that the gun was inside the classroom and the officers were trying to enter the door.
You're all right,
into the
that
classroom.
is a mischaracterization.
Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, what the lawyers say in their questions is not to be construed as evidence. If the evidence differs based upon your recollection, then rely on your own recollection. Please.
Thank you. Does the fatal funnel work both ways? That is for the police officer, depending on where he is, as well as the gunman, depending on where he is.
You object to lead.
Overruled. You can answer if you understand the question.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So if a police officer is armed in the hallway, knows where the gunman's going to exit, if the gunman exits at that spot, would he be in the fatal funnel?
Object to lead.
Correct.
Overruled.
You say
Yes,
correct.
sir.
Part of it is who is in the position of knowing where the other person's coming from.
That's correct.
That's the witness.
No further questions, Judge. Possible.
Recall, either side.
Not my discretion, Your Honor.
Not for you, sir.
Okay, Ranger, you are excused from the subpoena. You're released, but the rule was invoked, so please don't discuss.
Yeah, and also, this is also the defense gathering information from this trooper that they might use on another witness. Say there is another ranger coming and says something slightly different, then they can. Did you know that this person testified to something different? So it's cross-examination is as much getting answers as in gathering information that can be used later.
Well, because you're also trying to gauge reasonableness. Now, there's a different level of reasonableness for an officer that, lay people or the jury might not be aware of. But them asking each law enforcement officer that's on there what they would do makes sense, because you can see there's going to be different patterns. There's going to be different ways people react based on their training, based on their level of training.
The case until you're aware the trial's over.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, I guess go ahead and take your morning recess. Take about 15 minutes. We'll bring you back in. Remember my instructions. Would everyone rise for the jury?
And I think we weren't made aware at any time up until now that Adrian had actually engaged the shooter in the hallway.
No, that was actually news to me, that he was in there among the first who tried to take the shooter out, maybe even recklessly. So he did do what the prosecution said he should have done out there. And that resulted in his fellow officer being shot in the head. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay. Short break. It's not time for lunch. I can say that. Live. It looks like I mean, at least you have some movement in the photo. Up here it's just a still. So I don't know what's going on. Let me check. Yeah, it's the same. Oh, no, that's Court TV. Never mind. Dun, dun, dun. Lawn and Crim. No, it's the same over in Lawn and Crim. That's a bit longer. I mean, we were over 20 minutes behind. Usually these breaks are...
Yeah, the judge is pretty punctual. He's right on top of time.
Yeah. Let's go back and see what he actually says here.
Don't discuss the case until you're aware the trial's over.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I guess go ahead and take your morning recess. Take about 15 minutes. We'll bring you back in. Remember my instructions. Would everyone rise for the jury?
That was half an hour ago. So what's going on?
Yeah. I wish I would have paid attention to voir dire, because I want to know kind of the age range and the breakdown of the jury, because sometimes we can figure that out. Because I do think if you have more people that are, say, force multiplier users, it might be different than a jury that didn't have a lot of experience with that. Let me look at Court TV. Sometimes they'll put up.
No, can't see. No, the contents of the jury seems to be on the seal. So not even age, gender, if you assume gender, ethnicity, if you can assume that.
Yeah.
If you can...
You know, the state might be recalibrating. They might not have expected the defense to bring in that Adrian was actually under fire.
Yeah. Let's...
Because that definitely takes him being a coward. The state was very clear to call this man a coward in their opening statement several times.
The reason why I am trying to hold a laughter behind is not because of anything.
No,
it's just when I started to say if you assume gender, if you assume age, ethnicity, it's because somebody sent me this.
What's your message to straight white conservative men?
Listen to minorities, listen to women, listen to people who are trying to educate you. Don't live in ignorance just because it's easy.
What is a woman?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to women. Okay, what is a woman? Climb up.
Oh my goodness. I was watching this clip, I guess, that broke the internet about a woman claiming that race, there was no inherent difference in us genetically at all. That some people believe in science and such, but there is no genetic diversity in humans.
Oh, God.
I was snort laughing so hard. And because I'm a bit tismy, I then watch reactions from all different people. And Mr. Mo was like, do we have to watch the same episode again? Can we? So I'm getting earbuds because I tend to just listen to stuff he never wants to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, this goes to without saying. Yes, certain ethnic. Over here we have one word for race, one word ethnicity. So we don't use race as Americans do.
Yeah, I've noticed there's a
yeah.
difference.
For instance, we have, when we are talking about race, as in Swedish, we are talking let me give you an example. Dog breeds we
Okay.
exemplify as race. So over here we use that word differently, and that is why yeah, so it's different here. It's just different here.
It's
And
very.
but it goes without saying that people who have a long lineage from sub-Sahara has darker skin than Scandinavians, and that is a genetic modification. But it's
Yeah,
not a big enough genetic modification that says no, you can't have kids together, folks.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, but our Homo sapiens 50,000 years ago bred with Neanderthals. That we are close enough to be
Yes.
that close. Or I mean,
It explains Eastern European women in 1984.
yeah, here comes the East Germany women's shot put team,
I wonder if the defense is going to start putting its
sponsored
foot
by
down.
Giselle shaving cream.
Because if the state goes by its pattern, we're in for another emotional gut punch witness. And the defense might be at a point where, Your Honor, we've had 5 days of this. The state has yet to put down a specific fact as to how my client, with the new knowledge that he was under fire, was delinquent in his, obligations to the children on that day. Also, for the love of the jury, let them go.
Humans can breed effectively with elves. Yeah, but that is because elves are magical. We can't breed with trolls, even though trolls also are magical. Well, it depends. I have an aunt.
There's always a first time.
I've never seen her in daylight. I can swear every time I see her, she comes up from under a bridge. What officer got shot in the head? I don't know.
See, I was confused because when they talked about an officer getting shot in the head, I thought they were talking about the board tack team that actually went inside. But they could have been talking about this entire time when Adrian was going in, because the defense kept saying that one of the bullets spun him around.
Dun, dun. Let's see here. A U.S. Border Patrol agent. Yeah, from the Bortac tactical team. Are they injured? Yeah, Eduardo Canales, a commander of a local SWAT team whose ear was grazed by a bullet fired by the gunman. Javier Martinez, who was grazed by shrapnel or a bullet while trying to confront the shooter earlier in the hallway. Okay, so Javier Martinez. But that was grazed by shrapnel or a bullet. So Adrian Gonzales and Javier Martinez apparently went in together.
Yeah, and if I'm on the jury and I hear that this officer went in, I'm confused why I'm sitting in this trial.
Yeah. Why? Oh, we have sound. That was a 40-minute break. Oh, that was, yeah, not a 15. So what?
Please be seated in the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. We had another matter we were required to take up outside your presence, so my apologies. This witness has been sworn outside your presence. He is under oath, so you may proceed when ready.
Tell the jury your name.
Okay.
Scott Swick, SWICK.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a Texas Ranger with the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Would you briefly describe your training and experience in law enforcement?
I went through an initial police academy in 2003 before joining DPS in 2005. Through DPS, it's another 6-month police academy. I initially was in the Texas Highway Patrol until 2013 when I became a Texas Highway Patrol sergeant. And then in 2014, I became a Texas Ranger. Through that, on the Ranger Division, there's crime scene, 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment type training in more in depth than what you would have in the initial police academy.
And is the crime scene training for you the same as it for all the Texas Rangers?
To a point, the initial is, and then several of us have specialties that we get into that might be different than that.
Okay. On May 24th, 2022, were you, did you make it to Uvalde County, Texas, Rob School?
Yes, sir.
And on that day or the next day, were you assigned a specific area to search?
Yes, sir.
And
Mr.
what area
Turner,
was
can you
that?
use your microphone?
What area were you assigned to search?
Classroom 112.
And
Oh,
have you reviewed the photographs to classroom one?
yeah, classroom 112 is one other with a bunch of dead kids,
Yeah.
which means jury is going to see pictures of casings and a lot of blood.
Before lunch. The state really hates the jury. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, it's almost intentional.
Yeah. Oh, it is intentional. Question is if jury picks up on it. That again, before lunch, last witness on Friday. Now before lunch, we are watching this again. Where we want to hear the evidence on Mr. Gonzales.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The U.S. Border Patrol agent was shot in the head. His name is not officially released. He is one of the tactical team that breached a classroom 77 minutes into the standoff. Eduardo Canales was the commander of a local SWAT team whose ear was grazed by a bullet fired by the gunman. Don't have a time for that. And then Javier Martinez, Uvalde Police Department lieutenant, who was grazed by shrapnel or a bullet while trying to confront the shooter earlier in the hallway. Meaning, I don't know if everybody was still in the hallway or if the shooter shot from inside the classroom.
Yeah.
I assume the defense will bring that up. That they actually chased this guy down before, if it was that way, before he entered the classroom, but one was shot at and sort of hit, and then they decided to retrieve, I assume. And then
not
Gonzales
cameras down
stopped.
this? Because how
You
do
would
we have
assume
the
this
video
school-
of the cops and not down this corridor, and we could just make sense instead of having.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for the jury to watch inside the classrooms, but at least the hallway.
Yeah,
It would be jarring, but we could see exactly what happened, exactly who showed up.
yeah. Yes, this was the school shooting where all the officers and federal agents that first arrived were arguing on what to do, right? And
Yes.
that chief kept them from acting. Yeah, but before that inactiveness, apparently Mr. Gonzales and Mr. Martinez entered the hallway, chasing down the shooter, and was shot at, and one of them was hit. Yeah. I assume that is also one of the reasons why they are only charging Gonzales for what happened up until the shooter entered the building. Because the moment, if they even tried to charge him what happened after, well, he was
Taking
right there.
fire.
Yeah, taking fire. And I don't think the prosecution wants that known.
No.
I would assume that the prosecution will try to have a motion in limine regarding that. But if they get to talk about the hallway, so should the defense.
Yes.
And again, folks, should Gonzales have done something immediately? Yes. But the more I find out through the prosecution's case, all of a sudden, Mr. Gonzales did a whole fucking lot.
Yeah.
Just this initial thing where they claim he should have run up to that corner. He couldn't fit in that corner.
No.
Nobody could. There was no corner to hide because there was a big ass fence in the way. And if he took the long route, yeah, then he would be out in the open with a civilian behind him. I would assume that the police chief, once he gets his trial, things will be different because that, according to the information I have, he actively hindered people from acting.
Yeah. Which again, as an observer, I'm wondering why this officer and why not the chief.
Yeah. But the chief, one police chief, is also charged, but he's only charged with the 10 surviving kids, endangerment of them, which I don't understand. Did the grand jury not come back with, against the survivors, but not the dead kids? Why?
Yeah, what case were they presented? That's the
Yeah.
problem with these grand juries that are accountable to no one.
Yeah.
What's presented?
Yeah. It's really strange.
12, is that a fair and accurate depiction of your work?
Of the work of the team that we're with, yes, sir.
And here about classroom
Exhibits
112.
noticed outside the procedure.
During our conversation, that's fine.
Yeah, I believe we made a record on the ones that were admitted, and they are admitted.
Thank you. Starting with exhibit 756. The exhibit has a yellow marker for one of the rooms. Is that the room 112?
It appears to be, yes, sir.
And is that the room that you searched?
Yes, sir.
And that's the room concerning these photographs?
Yes, sir.
State's exhibit 757. She tell us what we're looking at here.
So the doorway on the left is going to be 112. The doorway on the right is going to be 111. This would be a view as if you were standing in the hallway looking at those exterior door faces.
And did they have an adjoining door within the classroom that you could go back and forth between?
Yes, sir.
State's exhibit 758.
So this is a close-up view of door 112 that also depicts several bullet defects into that door coming from the exterior towards the interior.
And exhibit 759.
Once again, another close-up of that just to give you a depiction of the bullet defects I spoke to.
Does 759 depict a window in that door?
Yes, sir.
And what is the condition of the window?
The window has damage due to gunfire, to defects.
And are there gunfire defects in that door?
Yes, sir.
Could you point them out?
Your Honor, may I stand up?
Yes, sir.
So you have a defect here, these circular defects. You have 3 coupled right here. One here. Looks to be one right there. It's hard to tell here in the glass, but you have several within the glass as well.
Thank you. And can you tell from looking at those defects if they're from the hallway into the room or from the room into the hallway?
The ones in the door face itself, we were able to determine they were from the hallway, from the exterior hallway in towards the interior of the room.
And something kept you from determining the glass breakage, if it was from the hallway or from the room?
It was our determination that day that they would have been similar, once again, from the hallway into there. Some of them you could tell by the concave of the glass itself, but some of them you couldn't necessarily tell due to the damage that you had, but it appeared to be consistent with the rest of it, which was exterior to interior.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And showing you State's Exhibit 780, would you kind of show us the general outlay of the room?
So this would be as if you stepped into the threshold of that room 112 door. So you're standing, if you would, just on the interior side of that, viewing straight down that what would be the wall, the purple wall or the blue wall, you will, on the right, excuse me, would be the south wall. The wall straight ahead with the window in it would be the exterior east wall of that classroom of 112.
And so the wall that's right next to the doorway and goes all the way to the window, that is fairly free of pools of blood, is that correct?
There are blood stains there, but the majority of the blood stains are not in this area.
And the back wall, are they fairly free of pools of blood?
Yes, sir.
And so would you describe to the jury in the room where generally the pools of blood were?
So the areas of blood stains in the room, you can obviously see some on the floor here in front of you in this picture, but the majority of the blood stains that my team located was going to be what would be considered the northwest corner of the room. So once again, if you're looking at this picture back to your left in that corner of the room.
The corner away from the doors and the windows.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 761. Yes, 761.
This would be a view from the 112 door, but this would be the interior door face. So once again, you're inside room 112, looking at what would be the interior door face of that room door.
And 762.
This is another view of that from a different angle to show you the bullet defects through that door towards the interior of the room.
And is there a bevel on one of those gunshots?
There is the bevel he's referring to. If you look at the gunshot furthest to the right, it gives that bulge look to it, where you can see where the energy of that projectile going through the door pushes that door frame out. That's what he's referring to.
And then Exhibit 763, would you tell us the general location of 763?
So 763 is going to be, once again, you're inside room 112. You're just in front of the entrance of that door we were looking at. You're looking, this is viewing back on the floor, back towards that, that east wall where that window was at. But this is going to be the floor view that you're looking at here.
And does it show things specifically on that floor?
Yes, sir. There are several defects in the floor that you can see, the gray areas that you notice on the floor, which are going to be would appear to be ricochet rounds from defects, or excuse me, projectiles hitting the floor.
And Exhibit 764?
764 is the exterior door face of the closet door inside room 112. What you notice on that door, once again, the gray areas on that door where the paint is peeled back are what appears to be shrapnel defects onto that door.
And is that closet door directly across from the entryway into 112?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 765.
765 is another view of that door from the lower bottom third of that door, if you will, below the handle.
So the first view was above the door handle, the second view is below the door handle. Is
that correct?
Yes, sir.
And exhibit 766.
766 would be the brick wall, the stone wall that's directly behind where that door you just viewed was. So once again, this is going to be the west wall of that classroom. That's the window, the grayish area is that window that you saw earlier. And this is going to be a picture of what appears to be shrapnel hits on that white brick.
And is it once again directly across from the doorway to 112?
Yes, sir.
And so I believe if you described a pathway from the hallway through the doorway, all the way across the room, leaving shrapnel across all the way to the back wall,
Yes, sir.
would that shrapnel and that pathway be dangerous to people in 112?
If somebody was standing there, yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 767.
So 767, once again, this is going to be the interior face of the door. You're inside room 112 looking at that main door entrance. And then down below that, it's a view of evidence marker 1, which for these rooms, we use green versicones or evidence markers. So for these purposes, we put a G for green. So G in this case 1. So this would be evidence marker G1 depicting a fired cartridge case.
And Exhibit 768.
It's a close-up view to show the 2 fired cartridge cases of G1.
And quickly, of the cartridge cases, did you find more than one kind of cartridge case in 112?
Yes, sir.
And what, with the one single one that was not an LC?
That is correct. There was one singular non-LC22 cartridge case.
And was that found in the teacher's desk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So other than in the teacher's desk, all the fired cartridge casings were LCs
That's correct.
and rifle casings?
For room 112, yes, sir.
Okay. And so I'll just allow you to shorten your testimony then and just say another cartridge casing if you see one.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And Judge, at some point, we'd like to caution the jury and the audience that some of these pictures are going to be a little gory and bloody.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as throughout the course of this trial, we have some graphic photographs. So once again, be aware of that. And if you need to step outside, you're welcome to do so. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And did you just take the photograph, or were the photographs taken where they were found?
Yes, sir.
Weren't responsible for depositing them there, just accurately depicted where they were?
These photographs are depictions of how we found them when we entered the room and processed that crime scene.
Thank you. Exhibit 769.
769 is another close-up of G1 with what we call an ABFO scale or a measurement scale, if you will, that's down below that fired cartridge case.
And 770, is that number? 770, excuse me.
That is, appears to be just a close-up of what you showed right there on the G1.
771.
So 771 is a mixture of evidence markers. You have the green ones I referred to that was the evidence we collected. The yellow alphanumeric evidence tints that you see there, those were put there before we were processing the scene. So once again, the rangers and investigators that entered that room prior to our arrival, those alphanumerics depict where bodies were located within that room prior to their removal.
And on the far left side, could you describe what structure we're looking at there?
On the far left side is going to be so that wall would be the hallway wall or the west wall of that classroom. You have a table that goes the length from where the entry door, room 112 door is, all the way to that, which would be the north wall with various items on it. And then below it is a black curtain that was essentially there kind of blocking the view of what was underneath that table, such as the supplies and so forth.
Was that table with the black curtain large enough for a person to crawl under?
Yes.
And be away from inside the room?
Potentially, yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 772.
772 is a close-up of a fired cartridge case with the G2 marker.
773.
773 is the G3 marker with a fired cartridge case.
776,
776 is a G4 marker with a fired cartridge case.
778,
778 is the G5 marker close up with a fired cartridge case.
779,
779 is the G6 marker with 2 fired cartridge cases.
781,
781 is the G7 marker with a fired cartridge case.
and does this marker 7 approach this pool of blood in the corner
Yeah.
of the hallway that we saw the dog?
Yes, sir. That is in the north, what would be considered the northwest area of the classroom.
784,
784 is a close-up of a fired cartridge case with G8.
786,
786 is a close-up of a fired cartridge case associated with G9.
787,
787 are several fired cartridge cases associated with G10.
would you point those out?
Your Honor, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
You've got a cartridge case here and a fired cartridge case here that we went ahead and designated with G10.
Thank you. 790,
790 is a close-up of 2 fired cartridge cases associated with G11.
791,
791 is a fired cartridge case associated with G12.
792,
792 are several cartridge cases that are associated with G13.
794,
794 is a close-up of several cartridge cases that are to the left of G13.
and would you locate those cartridge casings in the room for us?
Your Honor,
Where
ma'am.
would they be in the room?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're asking where they are in the room?
Yes, sir.
Those are going to be, once again, the northwest area of the room. That blue piece of equipment that you see at the top of the picture there was just to the right of that filing cabinet, if you remember, from that corner of that northwest area of the room.
796,
796 is a picture of a fired cartridge case associated with G14.
and are they at the very top of the photograph?
Top and in the middle, sir. You got 2 at the top and 1 with the ABFO scale.
One in the middle of the photograph and 2 at the top.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Exhibit 800,
This is going to be a picture of fired cartridge cases associated with G15.
and is there one under this, underneath of a obstruction?
Yes, sir. You've got 1 to the left of G15, and then you've got 1 with the ABFO scale, which is up underneath a piece of equipment that was there inside the room on top of that carpet.
Exhibit 802,
802 is a picture of G17, which at the top of the picture there is a what we call a PMAG magazine, which is what the unfired cartridges would go into for a weapon.
and what was the condition of that magazine?
Empty.
And is there a second marker on there?
There is G16.
And how many rounds does that magazine hold?
30 rounds, sir.
Exhibit 803,
803 is once a close-up of G16, which is a fired cartridge case.
exhibit 804,
804 is a close-up of G17 depicting that black empty PMAG magazine.
and so after 30 rounds are fired from that mag, what has to happen for the gun to be operational again?
For a weapon to be operational, once you, if you're firing a rifle in this case, you would have to drop this magazine, which eject it from the weapon, if you will, place a new magazine that has unfired cartridges into it, and then put it into battery or put a round into the chamber.
And did you find more than 30 casings in this room?
Yes, sir.
Did that indicate to you whether or not a magazine had been changed?
Yes, sir.
And what was your, did it have been changed?
There were more than 30, which would indicate to me that a magazine had been changed in the room.
Exhibit 805,
805 is G18, which depicts fired cartridge cases.
Exhibit 806.
806 has several things in here, starting with G19 at the bottom, depicting fire cartridge case. G20, which is another picture will show, depicts fired cartridge cases on the lip of that whiteboard. And then you have G24, G35, and G39 in that picture also.
And where is the hallway in relationship to this photograph?
The hallway would be, if you would, at a 45, kind of straight ahead. So this wall that you're looking at would be the north wall of the room. So if you follow that wall straight up, that would lead you to that where the hallway would be in this classroom or off this classroom.
And as to the backpacks, did you examine the backpacks also?
Yes, sir.
And would you tell the jury what you found?
There were multiple bullet defects inside of these or through these backpacks.
And those backpacks are hanging almost to the floor, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 807.
Close up of G19, which is the fired cartridge case.
Exhibit 808.
This is a close up of G20 depicting the fired cartridge case on the lip of that whiteboard.
Where normally markers would go.
Yes, sir. I guess you could put markers in that. Yes, sir.
And exhibit 809.
This is a close-up of G21, which is shows you more fire cartridge cases on the lip of that whiteboard.
Exhibit 812.
812 is a close-up of G22 depicting a fired cartridge case.
Exhibit 814.
814 is a close-up of G23 depicting a fired cartridge case.
Exhibit 815.
815, once again, has several markers in it. Marker G14 and marker G24 depicting fired cartridge cases, as well as depicting some of the blood in the scene.
And as to the wall depicted in 815, how would you describe the condition of that lower wall?
There are bullet defects in that wall that are going to be, if you see the hooks in that picture, below those hooks, and then some also into that 2x4, if you will, where the hooks are in.
And going back to exhibit 24 right next to the wall, exhibit 816.
So G24, this is a close-up of a, what would be copper jacket from a projectile.
Exhibit 817.
817 is a close-up of G25.
And 818.
This is another close-up of G25 showing, once again, a copper jacket from a projectile.
Exhibit 819.
819 shows G26 and then G13 again, as well as some yellow tints in that northwest corner of the classroom.
And would you place this photograph in the room? Where would that be?
The northwest corner of the classroom.
Exhibit 820.
Hey, Dolly Raiders. As
Hello.
last week, your timing is impeccable. They are now describing shell casings from inside the classroom with a bunch of dead kids.
They have been pretty general, and we haven't seen the photos.
Yeah.
However, they are making a point to point out the blood where it was, make a point of the backpacks being riddled with bullets.
And just before lunch.
Yes.
This is a pattern of the prosecution. The most horrific images right before lunch, right before weekend.
Yes. And I do wonder if the judge is getting tired of the cumulativeness, because we did have that big break, and it seems like he's getting much more selective of what he's allowing the state to show.
Yeah. The number of pictures shown and stuff like that. And the more that this, because this will probably keep going on with shell casings from within those two classrooms. And remember, folks, Mr. Gonzales is not charged with what happened inside the school. He's only charged with inactiveness up until the shooter entered the school.
And
They are
it almost
showing this
seems-
as a shock value. If he only had stopped him out there, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, and we learned now from the defense that Adrian Gonzales was actually inside the hallway, which was a fact we didn't know about
Yeah.
until this witness. And he and his partner came under fire. So he engaged with this suspect, just
Yeah.
like the state desired him to do.
Yeah. It seems like once Gonzales learned, damn, he is inside the school, he and one other ran in and tried to take him out. They came under fire themselves, and the other officer got grazed by either a shrapnel or a bullet in the head. So,
And this really explains the distinction why the defense says after he steps into that room, after my guy has taken fire, he's not responsible. He did exactly what you said.
yeah.
A20 is a close-up of G26, which is a fired cartridge case.
823.
A23 is a close-up of G27, which is a fired cartridge case.
825.
Yeah, as if it's Trinton says, if we apply basic logic, the moment he realized where the shooter was, he ran towards. Logically,
Yeah.
he did not know until that moment. And once he knew exactly where the shooter was, he went cowboy, Leroy Jenkins, right into the line of fire to try to stop him.
And then when he was done doing that, he started helping evacuate children.
Yeah.
So it's not like he went to hang out in the hallway either.
Mm.
A25 is a close-up of G28, being a fired cartridge case.
No, I don't know how many more days of the
2
state's
to
case
3
it is.
weeks is what I mean, that's from ChatGPT.
Mm.
Looking at everything, they said it's been blocked out for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, but that is the entire trial, including the defense case,
Yeah,
plus rebuttal and stuff.
yeah,
I
that's just
wouldn't
where
be
I should have been watching the hearings.
Yeah. Because now they already talked about all the other rooms in the school, to my knowledge, with the damages from gunfire. We already know about room 111, and this is room 112. So it at least should be at the second half of the state's case now. Because I assume the final day of the state's case will be only parents.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, that sounds about on brand.
Yeah. Most of the kids, all the kids, was in room 111 and 112, I believe.
Yes.
2 teachers, 19 dead, and 10 injured kids. Hey, Dolly, your timing is impeccable.
Yeah. There's just no peen talk in this trial.
Yeah. And folks, I know this is horrific. What me and Mo are trying to do is make the unimaginable bearable. So
Yes.
if you appreciate that, please, yeah, I know it's hard to put a thumbs up on a trial like this, but it does help the channel. It helps more people come here. And so if you wouldn't mind, I would
That would be
appreciate
awesome.
I would appreciate if you put the thumbs up for our effort, not because of what's going on there. Thank you.
A26.
A26 is a close-up of G29 showing a fired cartridge case next to G11.
A29.
A29 depicts several things. So this is a black bookcase, if you will, that was to the left, as you're viewing it, to the left of that blue piece of equipment that we talked about a second ago. In this beige area to the left of it, it's showing it being hugged up against that filing cabinet in the northwest corner of the room. This shows both a piece of evidence being G30 and then shows a bullet defect associated in that area depicted as G, once again, for the room we're in, and then BD. Sorry, was it 2B, I believe I'm seeing?
And were you able to trace the pathway of that defect?
Yes, sir.
And showing you at Exhibit 830, has the black bookshelf now been removed?
Yes, sir.
And what are we looking at now?
So the bottom of the photograph would be the area where the bookshelf is. In fact, you can see the void next to the wall where that bookshelf was at. You have if you're looking at the filing cabinet, the right exterior face of that filing cabinet with several bullet defects on it.
And were you able to tell a general origin of where that shot would have come from?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us about that?
So once again, you got several defects there. The first one I'll start with is the bottom left. You notice it looks like there's some gray area, several marks, if you will, in that. That was determined to be a terminus or an ending point of a projectile. And that grayish coloration you see is what is referred to as lead splash, which essentially is a microscopic portion of that lead projectile striking a surface. To the right, you have another bullet defect that is going from left to, as you're viewing the photograph, from left to right. So in other words, somebody to the left of this photograph, or a projectile, I should say, from the left of this photograph, is coming from that direction into that filing cabinet. And then you have the same thing in that top left one as well.
And does Exhibit 832 show a close-up of the description you just gave us?
Yes, sir.
And would you show us those two things that you just described?
So once again, going to what's labeled as GBD2C, that's the 2C is a corresponding. So a while ago, I referred to one being 2B. So the way that we're trained, the way that we depict bullet defects or document bullet defects are, if we could tell that they're corresponding. In other words, one bullet defect goes with another bullet defect. We'll also give it an alphanumeric order, so A, B, C, D, to show the order that those defects occurred, if you will. So in this case, it was our belief that 2C was in combination with that 2B that we showed you earlier that was going through that bookshelf that once again led to some lead splash and a terminus dent in that area. To the right there is GBD4A, which we couldn't, in other words, we couldn't find a corresponding prior to, so we went ahead and labeled that with an A to show a perforating defect, which means it's going in through something. In this case, the right exterior side of that bookcase with a trajectory of left to right.
And Exhibit 833?
833 is a close-up of what's labeled as GBD5A. I believe it says 5 or 6A. I can't tell from that photograph, which once again is a perforating defect in the side of that cabinet.
And did you also find defects in the front of that same filing cabinet in that northwest corner of the room?
Yes, sir.
Showing you Exhibit 835.
So this is going to be a view of GBD6A. Once again, as you're viewing the photograph, you have a trajectory of, in this case, right to left. So in other words, the projectile was coming from the right side of this filing cabinet towards the interior, perforating inside that filing cabinet.
So this defect did not occur from the doorway of 112?
No, sir, this defect would have occurred from interior inside of the room.
And about where would that have come from?
There's no way to tell that other than to tell you that based on looking at that defect, it's coming from the right side. I can tell you from the view of that, it wouldn't have been deep. It would have been somewhere probably along the wall, that what would have been the north wall of that room, in that northwest corner, if you will, or the west side of that room.
So crossing from the doorway all the way over to the other side of the room, that's where that defect would have been fired from?
Yes, sir. It would have come from, yes, sir, inside the room on the west side of that room.
And
Or excuse me,
when you
north side
open
of
the
that room.
filing cabinet, did that give you further indication of the route that bullet took?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
As you open the filing cabinet, did that give you further indication of the route the bullet took?
Yes, sir.
Show me exhibit 836. What are we looking at here?
So when you're looking at 836, if you look next to that handle, that's the defect you just viewed that we just spoke to. So you can see inside this is manila folders with several documents, but you can see gunshot residue and splash from that bullet that, once again, as it's going through the picture that we saw a while ago, now it's interior inside of this book or this filing cabinet and going through and perforating through that manila envelope.
So the pathway was almost parallel with the front of the,
Yes, sir. Once again, come from that north side of the room.
shelving cabinet. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did not come from the doorway.
No, sir.
Exhibit 837.
837 is a picture of one of the backpacks that was found, and then on this, what would be considered as you're looking at it, I guess the right side of the backpack, you can see in the mid portion of that backpack a defect.
And 838.
This is a close up of the defect I spoke to.
Exhibit 839.
So 839 appears to be a picture of G24.
Okay. Is there also depicted in 839 a pink backpack by way of reference?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's a pink backpack with a pink and black backpack. Yes, sir.
Okay, just north of that is the pink backpack.
Yes, sir. Are you referring to the one at the top of the picture there?
Yes, sir, toward the top, right next to the wall, kind of a pink and blue color.
Yes, sir.
I just asked that for reference for the next exhibit, 840.
It's going to be G35. So the backpack you're referring to, that multicolored pink backpack, and then below that you have a fired cartridge case.
Thank you. Exhibit 841.
So 841 shows a view of G30, which is sitting on top of a rolling piece of equipment for like a TV.
And 842.
This is a close-up to show a PMAG that's partially underneath that equipment that's labeled as G37.
Another one of these magazines.
Yes, sir, an empty magazine.
And what condition was it in?
Empty.
So that's 2 empty magazines holding 30 shells each.
They could hold 30, yes, sir, but there were 2 empty magazines.
Thank you. 845.
So 845 is a picture just forward of that last one. So inside, or if you would, on top of that carpet, but bunched up, shows G38, which is fired cartridge cases.
And 848.
848 is a close-up of G39, which is a fired cartridge case.
849.
849 is a close-up of G40, depicting 2 fired cartridge cases.
850.
850 is a mid-range shot, if you will, of G41, depicting a piece of projectile.
And 851.
Once again, a close-up of G41 to show you part of that projectile, that fire projectile.
And 852?
852 is a close-up of G42 depicting a fired cartridge case.
854?
854 is a close-up of G43 depicting a fired cartridge case.
855, is that giving us a general location of a desk?
It is, sir.
Did you find anything in that desk?
We did, yes, sir.
Showing you exhibit 856?
So 856 is a picture of one of the pieces of plastic drawers, if you will, that was on that desk. And then you could see that there's a fired cartridge case inside of that drawer, which was open. That's how it was when we found it.
Was this the one that was of a different make?
I'm not sure if this was it or not.
Fair enough. Exhibit 859?
859 is a close-up of that same thing, depicting it with marker G45.
860?
So 860 is a picture of the window on the east side of the room. So once again, if you take yourself back to being inside that room, you just entered door 112 and you're looking straight ahead, and you remember there was a wall with a window on it. So this is going to be that window. When the gray curtains are pulled aside, you can see that there's mini blinds there, and the defects you see appear to be shrapnel defects in that mini blind.
Exhibit 863?
So 863 is a depiction of the north wall in the room, the whiteboard you see on top, a couple backpacks there, but more importantly, you have defects that are both in the wall there, and then once again in that 2x4 portion up underneath that whiteboard.
And would you point out those defects?
Your Honor, ma'am.
Please.
So once again, you have several defects. You have one right here that we're depicting with this picture. There's several other ones there, but this is going to be the one we're referring to in this picture right here.
And exhibit 864?
864, once again, you have a grouping, I should say, 4 defects labeled there in that same general area.
And 865?
So 865 is showing below that area or in that general area, but you see defects on the wall portion beneath that drywall.
And are there 5 depicted there?
Yes, sir.
And are all of them general characteristics similar ovals?
Generally speaking, yes, sir.
And how about the one on the bottom left?
That one is different as far as the look and how it was deposited there.
Does that indicate to you a different origin, or the weapon was in a different position when that defect occurred?
No, sir, not necessarily. It could have simply been due to a substrate struck prior to going through something to cause that. Not necessarily a different position.
Explain that to us.
So when a bullet is fired from a weapon, in this case a projectile exits the gun, whether that's a pistol, rifle, doesn't matter what it is. Essentially, it goes downrange, if you will, right? It goes forward of that weapon. Generally speaking, it goes in a straight line with a little bit of an arc to it. And if left unimpeded, it'll eventually lose energy and either fall and or strike something forward of it, right? Depending on where you're standing or the angle of the projectile as it exits that weapon will then correlate to what you find for the substrate that it hits. So in other words, if I'm angling to my right, I would expect to find a left to right trajectory of that weapon, right? If I'm angling it from my right side, I would expect to find a right to left trajectory, if that makes sense. If it's a fairly 90-degree circle, well, then that tells me that somebody was shooting essentially perpendicular, if you will, to that substrate. Now, with all that being said, that's a perfect scenario. In other words, it hasn't struck anything. When a bullet travels through things, you heard me say perforating a while ago. Well, perforating means it's gone through a substrate. It's not stopped, it's gone through it. And when a bullet goes through something, it's going to start losing energy. It can start tumbling on its axis, but essentially it's going to give different views, if you will, of how it impacts the subsequent substrates that it strikes as it goes through. So in other words, those perfect circles or those angled defects can then become very ragged, if you will, due to those variables.
So that if a bullet went through a desk, a school desk or something like that, that exited the other side, then a lot of irregularities occur with that.
It could be. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I would expect to see that. Yes.
And did you see indications of that during your search?
Yes, sir.
That bullets went through
desks or seats or chairs or other furniture?
It appeared, yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 868.
So 868 is a viewpoint again. Once again, that north wall beneath that whiteboard. This is a view with trajectory rods, which are devices that we can insert into defects to give us angles and routes of travel.
And does that accurately show the routes of travel that y'all decided from doing your crime scene investigation?
Yes, sir.
And Exhibit 870.
So 870 is a depiction of bullet defects on the whiteboard itself.
Thank you.
Pass the lecture.
You want me to start, Judge, or do you want to?
How long do you just,
Might be a little while.
very vague.
I don't want to hold myself, I don't want to lock myself into a time, Judge. It depends how you answer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take the lunch recess. We'll see you back here. I've had some indications people can't make it back in an hour and 15 minutes. So let's take an hour and a half and try to get back on time. So we'll see you back here at 1:30. All eyes for the jury.
Alrighty. That means I've got to change my time because
Well,
it was
an hour and a half, 1:30. Yeah, okay, we are 12 minutes behind. So this is a commentary channel. Sometimes we
Yes.
pause and talk. Okay, so 1:30, that would be 2:30 Eastern time,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Whew.
I will say that the state has been much more functional witness
Yeah.
today. Maybe they are aware that they crossed that line. Maybe the judge even said something Friday evening because maybe he's looking at the jury. Because that was a 1-2 punch of the autopsy findings and then the mom.
Yeah. And the elevator music in a
Yes.
school shooting trial. I mean, we sometimes make commentary that is, but we are trying to make the unbearable tolerable.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to call balls and strikes and to say, I wonder what this is doing. And since we aren't able to see a lot of the sidebars in this, we are left to kind of speculate what went on. And with the way they said, skipping numbers, and from my notes, the state has been very every single photo. I think
Yeah.
the judge is getting tired. He's like, okay, we're not going to focus on the pools of blood. We're not going to do this. And if you notice this time when they talked, we didn't have that loss of sound. I believe the
Yeah.
judge also told them we're not doing the path through each child and then down to the floor, because I think
Yeah.
that's what that testimony was that we couldn't
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah. And this morning session also brought some new facts I didn't know. I did not know that the defendant, Mr. Gonzales, actually charged with another officer to try into the corridor, into this death zone, death
Yeah.
funnel, with the result that the other officer got injured.
And it never made sense to me why the defense made that distinction of the time, whereas the state didn't. And now it makes sense because the state didn't want it to come in that Adrian was inside the building, that he took
Yeah.
fire.
Also brings new light to the grand jury, because the grand jury probably never heard that Gonzales went in with a fellow officer, the first actually running in, just to try. Once they discovered, shit, he's inside. Two officers charged, and Mr. Gonzales was one of them.
It's Trenton. Oh, sorry, I was looking at a question. So, $32 question at this point. Do you think the defendant has to testify? Yes, but not for the reasons you think. And here's why I say this. The state has shown that this is a show trial. We know exactly that this man is not here to defend himself legally. I think looking at how he's been reacting and how he looked just as devastated as I did at the end of Friday. I think he's going to talk. I think you have to hear it from his perspective, because he has to be the one that makes it a reasonable case. He has to be the one that says, I didn't know. Look, I was hearing from this particular witness that she had seen him over here. You know, I was told that we had backup coming. My radio wasn't working. You know, I didn't want to leave this civilian. He has to explain his reasoning.
Yeah. And also, this might also be, say they already made that decision. That could also explain why some questions aren't asked, because they don't want to forewarn the prosecution.
It very well could be. And it might be, again, this man hasn't been able to talk, hasn't been able to tell his story. These parents are baying for blood. Look, some of them really want him to go down. He needs to sell, not really to, yes, to the jury, but I think in part he needs to sell to these parents. The state has used him as a prop, as propaganda, as the monster that allowed the monster to get in. He has to change the way he's perceived, because I'm guessing he still lives in this town. So it's not, again, you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons of him testifying, but I think this is like a self-defense case where you have to explain your reasonability and have it stand up to interrogation. But I think it might be cathartic for people to hear what he did, especially when we know what he did now was engage with the gunman and get the children out. The parents don't seem to have known this story. The teachers were unaware.
Yeah. And this is still the prosecution's case. If the prosecution brings forward mothers who lost kids in there, the defense might have someone's parents who he saved. But that again might be legally, that can be construed as character witness, but I don't believe, since he was actively saving children.
Yeah.
So it depends on the court ruling.
I'm just wondering where we're going. The state's case has yet to make sense to me, other than they're doing the same case they would have done against the mass unaliver.
Yeah. I mean, his inactivity between once he stopped to when the shooter entered the building, which is a minute and a half. And now we know shortly thereafter, he sprinted. Once he knew, once it was confirmed, he's inside. Because then he knew, okay, I don't need this cover. This civilian is somewhat safe. And then he sprinted.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not seeing the state's case here. And I think the judge is getting tired of it too. I really have noticed a shift in the judge today.
Yeah. I wish we could listen to these, which I assume is why the morning break was 40 minutes, not 15. They went through stuff. For me, that is for me personally, that is the most interesting thing in this trial.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Because we're left to speculate, which we can make kind of educated guesses. based in logic. But again, this is why these trials are streamed, so that we can be in on that. We're not the jury. We don't need to be outside the presence.
Mm.
Unless they were putting up and saying, no, that can't be on screen no, we're not.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and the judge might have made that a rule of decorum. Like when we go to sidebar, I don't want you filming because we might be showing this.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the more, I already said it, but I will repeat it. The more I find out the facts of this case, day one, I said, fuck this guy. I don't say that anymore, actually, because the pure facts, if we can count away all the feelings, sadly, I'm used to it. I've been doing law for over 30 years. I've seen horrific injuries. I need to block out the feels for this cold gray logic. If you just go by what do we know happened, and the more I find out, the more I'm looking at this guy and I don't see where he did wrong.
No, what more humanly could he have done?
Yeah.
Again, he tried to go in there.
Mm.
And I was under the impression, because I didn't really follow this case, that this was one of the jackasses in the hallway. I think a lot of people thought, okay, this has to be one of those jackasses that stood in the hallway.
Yeah. But no, none of those are charged.
And now it makes sense why the defense is so passionate in this man's defense, because for a while I was like, how did he get such really good lawyers? I mean, everyone's entitled to really good lawyers. I don't mean like that, but he has a specialist with former police training and tactical training. He's got different lawyers, and I did wonder, but it makes sense why they are so incredibly passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does.
And we might look into the lawyer did an interview with Scott Peterson. I had to unplug from this trial this weekend.
Yeah, I've been doing other things. I've been checking out other things, and I did. By the way, did you know that in Dubai this weekend was the Billion Follower Summit, where 15,000 of the largest social media accounts went to Dubai and talked about creating content for good. In
Mr.
Dubai.
Beast creating
Mr.
content for good.
Good. And I mean, everybody who is something. And I'm just there in Dubai, where free speech is non-existing, where women can't vote, where there are no labor laws. If you insult the royal family there, you go to prison. And 15,000 of the world's biggest social media accounts were there kissing ass. Because
I mean, any chance I get to RSVP no to anywhere Mr. Beast is the day I count myself lucky to be a small channel.
And I would publicly have a challenge, because apparently this was the 4th year as well. I had no idea it existed.
What, did they have it in Qatar and North Korea the other years?
Yeah, apparently. Next year, if they're going back to Dubai, all of those 15,000 of the world's biggest social media content creators, here's my challenge. Go out on the stage and say, fuck that guy. Specifically the royal family of United Arab Emirates. Fuck him. Fuck them all to hell. You try that. You try that and see what happens. Because
Wait, does that
if
mean
you
that
don't...
Jack Doherty was over there too, Can we get him arrested and say, can we keep him in Dubai?
Yeah,
I think we're not thinking about this greatly. We send all of our douchebags to Dubai. They act like themselves. They get arrested. They stay out of our country.
Yeah.
It's reverse immigration. I love it.
Now, I would never be invited to one of these things because I would probably say something like that. Hey, I do labor and employment law. Have you heard about these 4,000 dead workers that you ignored because you wanted a new stadium? Yeah.
So all these thinking hobbyists got together. How was there any oxygen left in the room?
I mean, if we go by ego, I mean, they more or less cover the entirety of the Middle East. But they were in Dubai. Yeah. Okay, I need to grab something to eat, need to recharge, and I will send you all over to Mo, who will do the afternoon session.
Yep.
Once you get there, you immediately press the thumbs up. Immediately, because you're not, because this trial here is, it's, so don't do the thumbs up for the trial, do the thumbs up because what we do with the trial, okay?
And this trial is important. It's hard to watch, but this is a miscarriage of justice if this man is being held to an impossible standard to make everyone else look better.
Yeah.
Or to dispel neglect other places.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna go get
folks,
some food.
Yeah, me too. I will see you over there in just over an hour. Okay?
Okay. Bye.
See you, folks. Bye-bye.